break down their schedule, tell you exactly about our schedule when they're going to be covered here on WOBL and WDLW. We want to thank you guys for tuning in on YouTube at Lorain County Sports Network. Remember, click, like, follow, and subscribe. It's completely free. You'll be able to see all the games and all the action all season long. Every Friday night, 2 radio games. Every Friday night, 2 video games. And this year, we're starting off on Thursday. Just like the big boys, it's Thursday night football here in Lorain County as we have 2 games scheduled this year as university schools will come to town to take on Brookside. And then you got the big one. St. Ignatius coming to town to take on the defending Division II state champion Avon Eagles. It's going to be at the Eagles Nest.
It is.
It's going to be wild. You're going to be there, and you're going to have all the coverage. So
Can't wait.
We'll talk about that, and as well as all of the other coaches. We want to thank our sponsor here, Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. Jason Iman, the general manager and staff, friendly enough to let us use his showroom here on this Monday evening. And we'll be here all the way until 8 o'clock as we have all the coaches from the SWC, that's the Southwestern Conference, joining us in 15-minute interviews. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We're going to be right back here on Thursday as well, so you might want to mark that on your calendar. That night, we're going to take a look at all the LC8 squads along with Vermilion. We'll talk with the coaches about their teams and their programs and what's upcoming. Yeah, I agree. Big thank you to Spitzer. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm actually coming. Did I tell you this? I'm coming back out next Monday. We're actually buying a car.
Yeah, they got
leasing a car. Maybe I should be correct.
They have the Big Drive sales event going on right now at Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. Hot deals. Go and get the Spitzer Shield protection, as we all want to be protected all season long, and that's with the Spitzer Shield here in Amherst. So let's talk a little bit about the magnets. We have these cool magnets that you can go and find. We're going to start passing them out here tonight, and then, of course, we're going to be passing them out at the Lorain County Fair, which actually is the first week of high school football. So starting on Sunday, we'll be down there passing out magnets with all of our coverage on it. It tells you exactly week by week who we're gonna be covering, where we're going to be, alongside with our partner, Lorain County's Friday Night Lights, Richard Flowers. He's going to be giving you a Facebook update every single Friday night to go along with our 2 radio games and 2 video games every Friday. And our magnet is sponsored by Brian Victor of Howard Hanna. We want to say shout out to Brian Victor and his staff at Howard Hanna. We talked a little bit about some of the best coverage here in Lorain County, Don, with over 40 games this year.
I started counting the number of games versus the number of games scheduled. I think over the course of the season, we're talking a lot of ball games. We're talking a lot of coverage. 40% of the games that are being played involving Lorain County teams are either going to be on WOBL, WDLW. They're going to be on our live stream on YouTube. You throw in the games that Lorain County Friday Night Lights is going to be featuring as well. The number gets even bigger. So, yeah, we're going to be out there. We're going to be covering a lot of games. Want to have you along for all of those. Shout us out,
Great point. That's where I was getting at. We want to have you along with us. If you are a small business owner, if you're a big business owner, and you would like to advertise your business with the best coverage here in Lorain County on the only radio station left here in town, it's WLBL and WDLW. We do a fantastic job of giving you the best advertising and marketing dollars that you can spend. As Don mentioned, you get all of the regular season for one set price, and then we throw in the playoffs for you completely free. So if you're interested in advertising your business, if you're interested in supporting young student athletes in your community, what not a better opportunity than to sponsor WOBL and WDLW's coverage. You get radio ads as well as your business logo on our YouTube page while the game's going on. There's only a few spots left as we're just 3 weeks away from the season. If you would like to sign up to be a sponsor for WOBL and WDLW coverage, please get a hold of me on social media at Dave Rivera 440 on Facebook. You could find me all over the place. Heck, I'll even give you my cell phone. It's 440-714-4351. We want you, if you're a local business owner and you're looking to sponsor high school football coverage here in Lorain County, think about us, think about the best.
Yeah, we'll take care of you. There's no doubt about it. Dave and Gary do a great job of kind of, yeah, they're selling advertising, but what they are is they want to be your partners. So come on along. We'd love to have you as part of our broadcast every Friday night. And that carries on as well. We're also talking Saturday afternoon football, right?
That brings me to my next point as
absolutely.
we have big breaking news as WOBL is now the new radio home of the Ohio State football coverage here in Lorain County. So they're coming off a national championship victory. They're going to be looking to defend their title. You can hear all the action right here locally on 1320 AM radio home in Lorain County for the Ohio State Buckeye football and men's basketball and women's basketball as well. So we're super excited. We got the Guardians. We got the Buckeyes. What's next? I don't know.
Stay
tuned as we're constantly working on things to bring you here at WOBL and WDLW Sports. It's the Big Drive sales event here at Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. We're going to have tons of coaches joining us here all throughout the evening. The first up is going to be Lorain coach James Boyes, who now, Don, in his second season at the helm of the Titans, had a great first year.
Yeah, he did.
And now that sophomore slump,
well, but things are going to change.
Might be peeking its head around the corner.
And that's one of the things we're going to talk with him about. Looking forward to kind of getting, and it's more than just the sophomore slump. It's a new conference,
loss of
bodies,
players, new teams. There's a lot of new things that are going to be happening with the Lorain Titans, and they'll be our first guest when we kick things off here shortly, as we're expecting Coach James Boyes at about the 5:30 mark, and we'll also talk to either Jason Iman or Jason Voss. We're going to get one of the Jason Voss. We're going to get one of the Jasons here for you to talk as we are live from Spitzer Chevy.
He's walking away. He turned his back, and he's going to hide in the office. We'll get him out here.
So we got tons of games as we are going to have 2 radio games every single Friday night. You can hear Don Vincent as well as Dave Grzinski on the Cool Cat. So talk a little bit about that, Don.
Well, just looking forward to that. Dave, if you don't know, has multiple awards in his hip pocket, does a great job broadcasting and does some work with some other outlets in the postseason, but we're going to be fortunate enough to have him along with us during the regular season. I'm looking forward to working with a guy with that kind of information and knowledge. On WOBL, it's the crew that we've known and grown to love and respect over the last several years. Our big guy, our boss, the big kahuna, Gary Tollett's going to be there with Brian DeVito. Those guys are a lot of fun, man. If you haven't had the opportunity to check them out, you certainly should. It may not be your traditional broadcast, but you'll enjoy it nonetheless. Dave, you're on the stream, man.
Yeah, I'll be on YouTube with my partner, Jared Viancourt. We got Ben Parsons on the camera as well as Duke on our production crew. And then the other crew, as we bring you another video game, is going to be led by Bull Barch, who is just an absolute thrill. He is the voice of the Lake Erie Crushers, and that's why he's not here today. Also joining him will be Max Drummond, alongside super producer, Ed Vereen, and our great cameraman, Sam Sovacool. So those are the crews that'll be out and about, but then we got a crew back at home in the Radio Ranch.
Want to talk about those guys. John Guzik, who has been around Lorain County sports as long as I have. We were teammates back in high school. That'll tell you how old he is. You just leave it alone. It'll be fun. He'll be joined by Paul Williams, and they'll be in studio. They'll be bringing you updates throughout the game. They'll be bringing you halftime coverage as well. The post game is special. It's really, in my opinion, it's probably one of the better things that we do. It's going to be coach interviews, player interviews. It's going to get you all the scores, get you caught up on all the stories for all the teams in Lorain County. Make sure before your head hits the pillow, you know what's going on. You've got an opportunity to hear from some of the folks that impacted the games on Friday night. So that's a great show. And again, don't forget to check out our partner, Rich Flowers, on Lorain County Friday Night Lights on Facebook. He does a great job keeping the scores updated as well. And he'll be out at a stadium near you somewhere. And looking forward to having him back as a partner. Looking forward to that post-game show. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's where they you talk to the players, talk to the coaches, and it's where you hear the raw emotion of Lorain County Friday Night Lights as you hear the the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat,
to say the least, right?
As John Guzik's going to do a fantastic job. Make
Yeah.
sure you tune in every Friday night after the games end, because that's where he'll be talking to your favorite high school coach and your favorite players. So we've got a big crew here this year with us at WOBL. We've expanded over the last 5 years. I mean, we went from a crew of like 7 guys to now we're at 20-something. So we're super excited to be bringing you some of the best coverage of high school sports here in Lorain County, as we have a guy that's going to be joining me on my stream week 2 and week 3. He's a radio legend who just walked into the building, and I'm talking about Mark Munch Bishop. He's going to be joining our broadcast this year, as well as he will be on the YouTube stream with me and kind of filling in wherever we may need him, because as we know in the season, things can get crazy.
Well, yeah, you get sick, you get tired, you get hurt. You know, all of those kinds of things happen. So it's good to have, just a quality, number one, a quality person, and just a supporter of local sports and even local high school sports. Been doing it for decades. Might be the one guy that's been doing it longer than me at this point. But good to have him as part of our team, and want to welcome Munch on board. You want to try to get Jason over here?
Yeah. So we'll take a quick time out, and then we'll get our guest lined up, whether it's Jason Iman or Jason Voss. One of the Jasons. Will be sitting down with us. And then we got a few more minutes before we talk to our first guest, which will be Lorain head coach James Boyes. Don't go anywhere. It's the 2025 Coaches Show here live from Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. Welcome back to the 2025 Coaches Show here live from Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. Dave Rivera joined alongside Don Vincent as we break down all of the teams from this year's Lorain County Coaches Association as we get ready to kick off the season. We are joined by our sales manager of the Spitzer World family, as Jason Voss is here with us. He takes care of the Volkswagen side of things.
For the most part, yes,
For the most part. So Jason also Amherst Comet alum, and we got to see his picture on social media on Lorain County's Friday Night Lights. We were giving him a hard time about that off the camera.
I think it's up in the office, too, by the way. I don't know.
Those shoulder pads, man, those shoulder pads.
They were different.
Ooh.
So tell us, Jason, what's going on here at the Spitzer Auto World, man? Between Chevy and Volkswagen, you got a ton of different choices.
We do. That's the one thing that it's awesome here, man. It's one campus. It's a Spitzer Auto World, so you get the best of both worlds. We have Volkswagen, we have Chevy, and we have more used cars, and we have room to put them. So, I mean, the lot is packed, inventory is up. And the deals are out there, man. Things are good.
So right now you got the Big Drive sales event going on.
Yes.
And what does that all entail going on?
So Chevy's got some great programs going on right now. They are offering 0% financing on a lot of their stuff. They have some unbelievable lease deals. Their EV specials are awesome. I mean, if you're not familiar with the whole EV thing, man, come check out and drive one of these electric vehicles. They're absolutely awesome right now, and they got some unbelievable leases on them.
Even as recently as a few weeks ago, lots were a little bit down. You guys got this filled up. I mean, that's got to be exciting for you as a sales manager, but it's got to be great opportunities for everybody out there that's in the market, right?
It is. It's weird. We sat here, years ago and stared out a window at an empty lot, I mean.
And wondered what was going to happen.
Yeah, 2 cars, 2 new cars, and, here we are today with, selection and opportunity, and, it's a different road, and it is relieving. It does make you say, okay, and then, the other thing is other lots are full too, So, and one thing that we try to do is we can do everything we can to help you out. There's a certain color. If the vehicle's out there, we have the ability to get you exactly what you want, because that's what it's about. It's about taking care of the customer. So, it's great.
Let me pick up on that because I was out here a couple weeks ago, actually a couple months ago, and we were working on putting my wife into a lease, and the buyout on the old one just didn't work out. And you guys, just straight as you could be, it's not the right time for you. Don't do this right now. That's why I appreciate it. It would have been easy to say, yeah, suck it up, get the lease, put money in your pocket, but you made sure that I wasn't putting too much out.
I mean, I've been doing it for about 22 years.
Tell them how it's changed, Voss. Tell them how the car business has changed.
It has not. That's the thing, man. I mean, it hasn't. And that's what it's about. It's about it's about relationships.
Yeah.
It's about doing the right thing and just being transparent with everyone. And when you lay it all out there, at the end of the day, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. You know? And honestly, I'll be the first one to tell you that, and I'll probably get fired for saying that. But there are it is what it is, and when you do it the right, you can do this for 20 plus years. If you do it without integrity,
right,
you ain't gonna last.
Well, but that kind of honesty though, and that kind of salesmanship brings me back a week from today.
Yeah.
To try to put that deal together. So again, treating people right and that relationship and bringing people back is certainly beneficial. What are you talked about the EVs, right? Is that the big push right now?
Everything's got a big push. EV. The one thing about EV is they're fun, man. Volkswagen makes an EV up there, and it's called the ID4, and they got an unbelievable special out there right now. You can get them as cheap as, we're advertising right now, $99 a month.
Wow.
$99 a month.
That's amazing.
Little money down, tax and title, but $99 a month. Go find that, and that's a real deal.
Yeah.
So, that's out there right now. I know that Chevy Equinox has an EV, very inexpensive, and it's just awesome right there. I wish I had 50 of them on my lot. Now that's a vehicle I don't have a ton of right now, but we do have them and they are available. So
what are you seeing as the hot seller this summer? What are people? What I liked was something that you're checking out is the new design tracks.
Yeah, that's where my wife.
It's got a slick new design, man.
It is. It does have that new body style and it has the redesign. And your SUVs are always going to be your leader. Chevy's going to do its thing with the tracks. Volkswagen has, I keep going back to because that's where I kind of spend most of my time. Volkswagen has a completely redesigned 2025 Tiguan, which is a mid-size SUV, and this thing is awesome. I mean, just the upgrades, the interior, the technology, the quality, the fuel efficiency. I mean, it's just an unbelievable vehicle. They absolutely knocked it out of the park. So, and here's the cool thing about our campus. If a tracks doesn't work, maybe you want something bigger. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Let's just walk 100 feet right up the hill.
That's right.
And we'll be able to give you another option. You get the best of both worlds here. So.
The Spitzer Auto World has whatever you need, whether it's a Chevy, a Volkswagen, or everything in between. They can find it for you. Jason Voss joining us. He's the sales manager here at Spitzer Auto World. Voss, let's switch gears, man. Let's talk a little bit about between the lines, between the numbers, man, because you played, we all played.
Yeah.
Man, what were some of the memories for you? You had a crazy career, man. I know you personally, so I know a little bit about your story. I know how you came back your senior year to play.
Yeah.
Talk about that, bro.
Yeah, man, it was unique. I'll be honest with you, Dave. Baseball was something that I was focused on.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't want to get too long here, but a certain coach whispered in my ear, you'll focus on baseball. You're 5'7", you're never going to go play basketball in college. You're not going to go play football. You'll focus on baseball. That's your hope, and I kind of got a little brainwashed out of that. And then I just kind of realized, I said, you know what, man, I don't know how many more years I'm going to be able to play sports. And as long as I can remember, Dave, I was football, basketball, baseball, wrestling. It don't matter. I was always doing something. So, I made a commitment to go back and play football my senior year. And if anybody knows my story, tragic loss in my family. My father passed away. I was young, and he was the head soccer coach in Amherst at the time, and a lot of people thought that I played soccer for him, but I did not. He just coached. He coached it, as a love and a passion that he had. And I talked to him, and at the time, there was a gentleman who we all know here probably. His name was Jeff Risen. He was my head coach.
Yeah.
And he and my father had an unbelievable relationship. And Jeff always would ask my dad's permission to approach me if I wanted to come play. And I finally said, you know what, let's go. I had some great friends, and they took me out, and we just went out, we went all in. And after he passed away, I already had made that commitment, so I just fulfilled that season for him.
Yeah.
And it was a hell of a run, So
Not to date you, but you played in the late 90s, right?
99.
99. Okay.
99.
So I was down the road at Admiral King. You were here at Marion L. Steel, and we won't say where this guy was.
I was out of college already. That was old news.
But during that late 90s, to get back to my point, you guys had a pretty good run there.
We did. We did. I'll tell you what, man. That was.
You guys were before the Avons.
But
at that point in time.
At that time,
it was
at
the
that
rivalry.
Point in time, we were the rivalry at the time was Avon Lake.
Yeah.
The bar too.
Right.
Exactly.
We had some great. What's a memory that I have? I remember the Avon Lake game.
Yep.
It was a monsoon. It was an absolute monsoon. I remember after the game, I was so covered in mud that after I took a shower, I got home and I still had mud on me. And that game, I remember that night, I said, whoever wins the coin toss is going to win this game.
Yeah.
Because whoever had that field the way that it was before it got all tore up, and we fought hard, but we fell up, a touchdown short that night, and that Avon Lake team, that was a state playoff team that year.
Yep.
We had that was a cool memory that I have, that the opportunity to play in the state playoffs. We had an extra week of the season. I believe Midview had an extra week of the season that year, and I think Olmsted Falls had an extra week of the season that year. So 3 teams from the conference at the time all going to the state playoffs. Pretty sweet. So.
Yeah, the SWC, although it's been kind of revamped, it's still the same, man. What are your thoughts on, this conference with Olmsted Falls and Amherst and Avon Lake and Elyria now?
I mean, it is just an absolute juggernaut. I mean, it is week in, week out. It doesn't matter if Avon's coming to town, defending state champion, or if North Ridgeville's coming to town, or you're getting on a bus and you're heading out to Avon Lake, which is never easy to go to, or you have to go out to Olmsted Falls, which was always just a tough place to play. You got to bring it every week, man. And that's what I love about SWC. Everybody is, there's no week off.
Yeah.
It's the grind.
It is the grind, man.
That's exactly what it is.
It is the grind.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, cool. Thanks for those memories, man. That's really cool.
You're welcome, man.
Thank
you for letting me share.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you come and check out Spitzer Auto World. They got the Big Drive sales event happening now. Whether you want a Chevy, whether you want a Volkswagen, this is the place to come. It's the Spitzer Auto World. We're live here in Amherst as we are getting ready to talk to our first guest, as we are going to talk to the SWC coaches here tonight, as well as Elyria Catholic and Lorain, and get their thoughts on how this season is going to get going. Jason Voss is the sales manager here from Spitzer. Jay, thank you so much for giving us some time. Thank you for letting us have this showroom and this beautiful facility.
Anytime.
Great place for this.
Anytime.
As it's a phenomenal place.
Our relationship's just getting started, man.
Absolutely. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You're watching live on Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. Welcome back live on YouTube. It's Lorain County Sports Network as we're talking to the 2025 coaches before we get ready to kick off this season. Dave Rivera joined alongside Don Vincent, and it's time for our first guest as we are going to be talking some Lorain High Titan football. There's a lot of news, a lot of stuff to go over. Joining us now is the head coach of those Lorain High Titans, James Boyes, giving us some time. Coach, good to see you. Thank you for stopping out while the team's practicing right now.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate you guys.
Coach looked at his watch and said, hey, we're in special teams right now. Let's get this thing going. So
it's punt right now.
That's
5
right.
minutes from now, it's punt return. Let's go.
So, Coach, man, let's just get right into it. You had a phenomenal season last year, and now you're going into this year, a new conference. How do you take that momentum that you had into a new challenge?
Yeah, no doubt. There's going to be plenty of changes going on right now in terms of who's on the field for us as well as who we're playing this year. But ultimately, the philosophy that was brought in and the way we're doing things, we're not going to necessarily change anything just because of who's on our schedule. So I think the kids had a good off season. We grew some numbers. Need to continue to do that, but the numbers increased, and it's just time for some new faces to step up and show out on Friday nights.
Let's talk about some of those new faces because I think at Lorain High you were pretty senior laden last year. You got some guys coming back, but who are the guys that you're kind of tapping on the shoulder and saying, hey, we need you to step up right now?
Yeah, really there's a handful of them, and we've even got a couple guys that transferred in. So, we've got some of those guys that have some Friday night experience, but it's time for them to kind of step up within our scheme offensively and defensively. But there's a large list of names, quite honestly, because, we need to replace all 4 of our starting skill guys on offense and all 4 of our starting skill guys on defense. So, those guys are competing on both sides of the ball to, one, try to get touches, and 2, get on the field defensively. So, BJ Serrano is a senior that had the most playing time, in our offensive skill and in our secondary last year. So he's definitely like the leader of that group. But Zion Moore is going to be a junior this year, and he's got plenty of speed. He just needs to, get in on those assignments a little bit more, which he's done a great job of the past few days. And I think he's got some explosiveness that you guys will be able to see. As well as Day Jones is somebody with a lot of explosion. Tyree Morales is a junior that, played a little bit earlier in his sophomore year for us. And then kind of as the season went on, probably got a lesser of a role for no other reason than other guys started figuring it out in terms of their assignments. So he's an assignment sound guy that's definitely matured even more, and those are some of the skill guys. Jane Kuznar is doing a great job on the outside right now.
Who's going to be running the reins? Who's going to be leading it now that you lost your start? Your senior quarterback last year.
No doubt. And that's really where the big change is going to come in. Right now we're still in the midst of a quarterback battle, and ironically as it sounds, right now kind of down to a senior, a freshman, and a skill guy that can just kind of be an athlete back there. So But David Whitaker is the guy that came back with the most experience. David started a game as a sophomore, started for us against Bedford last year, and the first half he admittedly, after the game and at halftime, I'm just trying to play perfect. It's like you don't have to be perfect out there. just stay within your own mindset and run the offense. And in that second half, he kind of exploded a little bit with like 250 or so passing yards.
We did that game, and I remember the difference from first half to second half with him in particular. I mean, he looked lost. In the first half. Talk a little bit about the offense this year because, last year it was really big play oriented, and you had guys that could rip off 30, 40, 50 yards in a heartbeat. Are you kind of getting back to where you can do a little ball control and go to those big plays when you need them, or is it going to continue to kind of be explosive?
Yeah, so, I mean, our philosophy hasn't changed offensively. Anytime we could create a game-changing play, a pass of 25 or more, or a run of 15 or more, the more of those you have, the better chance you're giving yourselves of winning games, right? The longer you're on the field trying to put a drive together, the more opportunities there are for mistakes or whatnot. So, yeah, I think we have, Toriano Allen's coming back as a tailback that had plenty of carries last year, and he really looks the part right now, just not physically, but, on the eyes, but he's playing really well. He's got great balance at the tailback position. JL Diaz is a powerful runner that really took some load of the carries in those later season games when we were in those real physical matchups. And then Zion, like I said, Zion's got the speed to go at any time. And so does Day. And BJ Serrano's got some down the field explosiveness to him as well. There's a couple other guys. We just got to see who steps up and kind of gets that done. But Troy Jones is a transfer from Clearview. You know, he returned back to his home district, and he's got some wiggle and he's got some shake and he's got a little bit of speed. I just want to see, you know, he kind of bummed his ankle a little bit in the beginning of camp, so we're going to see that out of him.
Yeah.
And he's back this week, so we'll get a taste of that in the scrimmage against Avon Lake and kind of see exactly what he's capable of, because I got a sneaky suspicion he's got some go-go.
He does. I've seen him live in person last year. I want to touch back on Whitaker, Coach. I know his family personally. He comes from a great athletic tree. He's not your typical quarterback. Kid's 5'10", 225.
He's a big fella.
He kind of looks like Jamarcus Russell.
He's a big turkey back there.
Who was a former #1 draft pick. So,
That's true, right?
No, David has the ability to make every throw on the field. I tell him that all the time. I was like, David, you have the ability to make every throw on the field. Just, you know, stay within and take what defenses are giving you and don't always push it down the field, you know. Just stay assignment sound and go through your reads. And he's really, from where he was a month ago to now, he's just processing so much faster. And we're working on getting the ball out of his hand a little bit quicker. But there's no doubt David's got as big of an arm as I've ever seen, you know, personally in high school. It's just a matter of getting him to run that offense. And he knows that, and he's been working really hard at it. And he's been doing a good job. And in the run game, he's a load. He's a big guy to tackle. And I think you're a little light on that 225. He might be pushing 250. But,
trying to be nice.
He's for his size, he's a great athlete. The weird thing, not the weird thing, but the tough part for David is he could be a really good D lineman for us. He could be a really good inside backer for us. But if he's going to be the guy, you know, on offense, then we're going to have to pull him off of those assignments, because we're not going to risk that. But
how does he feel about that?
I think he wants to be the quarterback, you know.
He wants to
be the quarterback, and he understands that if he's the quarterback, that he's going through individual, but he's going to lay off a team. And when we get into a situation, whether it's, you know, most likely possibly before the playoffs or in the playoffs, and we're in a sense of we feel like it's either win or go home, and he gives us the best chance to win if he's playing both sides of the ball, then that's exactly where we're going to be and what he'll be doing.
You know, we talked a lot about the offense thus far. Let's flip the card. Let's get over onto the defensive side. I think just kind of looking back at what we saw last year, I thought your linebacker core was pretty strong, but you're probably moving some people in and out.
Yeah, no, I feel really good about our linebacking core. You know, our 2 inside backer, all 4 of them are coming back, right? So both outside guys were all district players for us. TJ Allen and Avery Martin, really good football players, both captains this year, as well as our 2 inside guys, JL Diaz and Jemiah Gaines, who goes by Bird. Those guys were all state inside linebackers for us. So we're definitely going to rely on that linebacker front. We've got Ezra Williams coming back on the D-line, who was an all-state football player for us last year. But we got to find 1.5, 2 more guys there to really solidify that defensive line. And then, again, the big question is going to be, you know, who steps up in that secondary. Like I said, we've got plenty of skill and talent and speed. It's just getting the right guys in there that are assignment sound and learning their techniques and doing those things that we trust won't give up those big ones.
How are numbers, Coach? You touched on it a little bit when we talked to you. Is it still an issue trying to get kids to come on out for the team?
I don't know if I'd necessarily say it's an issue. You know, quite honestly, where we're at numbers-wise would be okay if we were in that LEL still. But knowing where we're headed, you know, us making a jump from last year, we were playing with about 45, 46 kids. And right now we're in the high 50s. So we got, you know, we've cracked 60 a couple times. Just got to make sure that everybody's showing up. But ultimately, that's not going to be a good comparison when you're seeing Strongsville and Brunswick and Medina and obviously Menor with, you know, potentially 100 guys out there.
Yeah.
When you heard about the change in conference, did you get excited? Did you go, geez? Or was it just kind of this, okay, well, we got another challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to the kids all the time about we have to control what we can control. And those are one of those things that's not something that's in our control, but what we control is how we show up every day and the amount of effort that we want to put in, the work that we want to do. And from my perspective, yeah, you know that you're going to be in a huge challenge, right? But I kind of like that. I know that's good coaching. I know those are well-coached teams with a lot of talent, and I want to push myself, the coaching staff, and our kids, and let's go see if we can rise to the challenge.
It'll be a fun conference. And again, I think it's one of those things that you're going to need a couple years to kind of work into it as you continue to develop a program, right? I mean, all of that's part of that process. Anybody on that conference side that you're really looking forward to locking horns with?
Not really. To be honest with you, we talk all the time about going 1-0. We got to go 1-0 this week. So, you know, we know that we've just got a couple scrimmages, and we know Maple Heights is the first challenge, and we know those guys are going to come into town. And they're not going to be a happy group, right? You know, it was a big game last year, and we were able to get the better of them. So I know those guys are coming in, and and we're going to be tested right out of the jump week 1. So we cannot look past that at all in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, we'll be there with you for that one. Looking forward to a nice start.
How does it feel to start the season with a familiar opponent now that you're going to all these unknowns now?
Sure. Yeah. Again, I guess I haven't
Are the
read
kids
too
more?
much
Are the
into it.
kids more? Does it add more fuel to the fire? Not being week 1 already.
Yeah. No, I don't know. We've set our goals. I think that we're talking about things. If they're talking about, I guess they're not doing it around me. So I haven't picked up on any of it. As kids, I'm sure they've got some games that they're excited about, and I'm sure they've got some challenges out there. I think if you ask different kids, they may have different answers. Like I'll specifically talk about, one of our offensive linemen who's our starting left tackle, was a really good offensive lineman, Amari Malone. He's excited for that Strongsville game because he knows he's going to have Storm Miller across from him, and he's excited about that challenge. So I think that's always, I don't want to say in the back of his mind, something that he knows, but he's not worried about that yet because we've got to be 1-0 week 1.
Starting off with 3 non-conference games: Maple Heights, Elyria, Sandusky. Looking forward to those games, and then it's conference: Euclid, Cleveland Heights, at Brunswick, at Shaker Heights, Strongsville, and Menor at home, and then at Medina to round up the season. Boy, that's,
no weeks off.
Boy, I tell you, we were just talking about how the SWC is a bit of a grind. Oh boy, Greater Cleveland Conference is just as much of a grind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that arguably those are 2 of the best conferences. Obviously, Northeast Ohio, maybe even the state of Ohio. I think that when you're looking at those teams, you see a lot of teams that are going to play deep into playoffs.
I would agree.
Coach, the new playoff format has changed. There's less teams now.
Sure.
Finally, is that something that you guys talk about amongst yourself and the coaches, and with the meat grinder that the Division I, Region 1 bracket is?
Yeah.
Again, not in our control, and to be honest with you, and the things that we've talked about since day 1 of the program, and since I've been a part of the program, and day 1 of this off season leading into this season, none of those things have affected anything that we want to do. Our goals right now, we want to talk about literally every day, is that we want to beat Elyria, shock the GCC, and host a home playoff game. So to host a home playoff game, we got to be in the top 8 seed anyway. So whether 12 are going or 16 are going, that doesn't change anything for us. We're looking to be in the top 8 seed.
Nice.
Perfect.
Like it. All right, Coach, let's go get them.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Head
Thanks
coach
for joining
James
us,
Boyas has given us some time. He's got to get back to practice, and we're going to let him go as well. Coach, good luck this season. We'll see you week 1, so expect an email and a call as we'll be trying to get the scoop against the Mustangs.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Take care, Appreciate it.
We'll be right back here on YouTube. It's the Lorain County Sports Network Coaches Show here live from Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. We are live from Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. It's the Lorain County Sports Network Coaches Show as we are getting ready to kick off our Lorain County Friday Night Lights coverage here. And we're going to be talking to our next guest. It's the Amherst Steel. The hometown team has stepped into the building as they are led by head coach Tom Thome. Giving us some time. Coach, thanks for giving us some time. We're right up the street, man. How's everything going?
The drive was miserable. No, thanks,
Came
guys.
through
Thanks for
Restaurant
having
Row,
me.
right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about, man, the facilities right
Yeah.
now getting upgraded as
Yeah.
you guys are looking to got the turf installed, and how's everything going as far as the scheduling?
I mean, I think we're on pace. Today they
Okay.
started laying the foundation of the second layer of the track. So from everything I know, and I'm not going to say too much because Casey Wolf's my boss, I think we're all on track and everyone's excited. The field looks awesome. Stands look awesome. So everyone's really excited about it.
You guys have kind of been the talk of the preseason, man, whether it's been the facilities or whether it's been the star transfer who has came
Yeah.
back home to the Amherst School District, and we're referring to Cy Christensen, formerly of Clearview, now with you in the Amherst Comets, man. How good is that to get that type of player entered into your program?
Cy does a lot for us. Obviously, his play at Clearview speaks for itself. The credibility and everything that he brings to our team. But what he really did was we were going to have a three-man quarterback battle, and I love all three of those kids. We were 10-0 at JV, and all three of them played. He now gets Nick Wilkinson to play wide receiver. Jack Coleman, all Ohio basketball players, going to play some corner and some receiver this year.
Mm-hmm.
Brody Glick gets to go to linebacker. So with
He had
Cy
some
coming
depth.
here,
Add some depth, right?
we had a depth at quite a few positions.
It also gives you talent across the field. So my introduction to Coach was I walked out to practice and I watched him running the offense, which was nuts. I mean, dripping sweat out there, hustling on every play. You're probably not going to have to do that as much with a little bit more depth and some additional players, and you can actually do what you're paid to do and coach instead of run the offense.
Yeah, my wife wants me not to do it too, but it's something about when we play Olmsted Falls and they do that flexible
Yeah.
ownership option. Their offensive coordinator was my coach in college, so I know it. I got to stop doing it. I'm getting old, but no, we go two platoon, so it's 1v1 most of the time. Our twos are going against other scouts, and we bring up our freshmen to go against the sophomores. So yeah, we've got a lot of good competition going on with our depth right now.
How does it feel about the culture that you've completely changed at Amherst? As when you were taking over, they were in a little bit of a distress, and you came in and you win your first first 5 games last year, and kind of set the tone. And even when we talk to you, and when you've been talking to the media, it's kind of been like a head down approach. We're just going to take care of what's in front of us and cancel out the outside noise. Talk about the culture and how you've just changed that completely at Amherst.
Where I've been, even as an assistant and a coordinator, if you don't take care of today, nothing else is going to matter. So I'm not really focused on anything else. I just want to get better today, and I don't really care about the past. So, that's how I tackle things, and I'm my hardest critic. I don't think we practice well enough today. Mm-hmm. And, I never really put too much into what was the past, and right now I'm just thinking about, are we going to be ready to roll against Brecksville on Thursday? I just talked to James real quick, said, hey, we're good for next week. But right now, Brecksville just told me they run a different defense than they did last year, so I got to get my offensive line ready to roll.
Yeah.
So I really don't think too much about that. When I took the job, I said, hey, if you guys want to stay negative and keep, the negativity of the past, things are just going to be negative. Let's just take care of today and be positive, and there's only so much you can control. And I always tell the story, before I had kids, that was different. Mm-hmm. And then you have kids and you control nothing. And I didn't have kids until I was late in life because I was smart. But my wife thinks I go on at 6, so I can say this. But no, you can only control what you can control. And we're dealing with high school kids, and they got high school problems, and they got, different things. So, that's how I deal with things. Just let's get better today.
By the way, this is going to be available on YouTube, so
my wife's not allowed to know.
So we touched on the quarterback transferring in, Cy Christensen. You also got a new guy in the backfield as running back Mike Passarello comes over from Midview.
Yeah, so we really like our running backs. Actually, Peyton Gillis is going to get the majority of the carries, but Michael's a little bit different in what he brings to the table and what he does as a running back versus what Peyton does. We liked Peyton last year. He's going to be a senior. But quite frankly, going to platoon, there was really not a need to give Peyton that many reps with how Cole and JR were running the run game.
Yeah.
But, we like Peyton a lot. We think he could do some things that are a little bit different than what we did last year. And then Michael does bring another element, especially when we start looking at the stretch game. Michael reads the game very well. but he's going to really be the captain of that secondary and really help us out at the free safety position.
I wanted to kind of get into that whole defensive thing. I mean, what you're bringing back may not be tons of numbers, but you've got some key players in the defensive backfield at linebacker and on the line.
Yeah, so we actually returned like 8 starters on both sides of the ball. And you know, Dave Duziak comes back. He's a 2-year starter. Michael's been starting for 3 years. You know, we got to figure out strong safety, inside linebacker, and then another corner. And that's where Jack Coleman being able to come out to the defense now. And he's still trying to learn how to play football. He's being a basketball player out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And every day, and something flipped in his head last week where he's like, you know what? You know, I might be the best athlete out here, but I got to do the little things if I'm ever going to be a good football player. And since last week, something just kind of flicked in Jack's brain, and he is busting his butt in every single drill, and he's doing the little things. He's getting down on himself when he's not doing great, and he's just pushing himself. At the D-line position, we bring back 3 starters. We moved Tyler Den from strong safety to outside linebacker. We kicked out Mason to outside linebacker. So it was really trying to figure out 3 positions on the defense. And we like the guys that we have playing there right now. And at the cornerback position, I like 4 of my guys right now, which frees up David to be that slot. But, you know, if you got that receiver that I think, hey, we got to lock that down, you know, David, you got to go play more corner.
I'm glad you brought up Den because he was one of the guys kind of on kind of when I looked at everything. I wasn't quite sure where he was going to line up. So that's good news. I do want to take you back, though. You differentiated between being a great athlete and a great football player. As a coach, what's that difference? How do you evaluate that when somebody becomes that football player?
So, you know, we got 2 or 3 guys that play multi-sports, and they're not just good. Like, they're elite at either baseball and in basketball. And as a football coach, you want them in your program. You want them because they're going to help you.
Sure.
But when a Jack Coleman says, you know what, you know, I don't want to just be a good corner right now or a good slot. Like, I'm going to, you know, take coaching. I'm going to get better. I'm going to take the criticism. I'm going to do the little things. I'm going to get extra drill work. That's when you get excited. And, you know, Cale Charles, that wide receiver, the kid's elite. And once he really learns the little things, you know, I think he's just good at football as he is at baseball. And I think we all know about he's a pretty decent baseball player.
Yeah, so, you know, they're talking about the kid being drafted right out of high school.
Right.
As Cale Charles is who coach is referring to. Who are some of the weapons, you know, going back to the offense? Because you had to replace some guys, obviously. Who are some new guys that are going to step up that are going to be targets for you?
So we bring back Cale and David, and they were like all district. Peyton Leibacher played, started since Avon Lake last year. And he does a little bit of everything. He could play – he's a slot, but he could play some tight end. We got Bryce Colvin. Nick Wilkinson had played quarterback, but we're moving him to wide receiver, and he's a part of that baseball program. You know, we got like 6 receivers that we really like. Cole Lugar, who made states in pole vault, he's going to get time at receiver and at corner. So, you know, I had my message to my receivers today is you guys can't have an off day because there's a guy right behind you that's ready to take your spot.
Yeah.
And, you know, for a high school student, sometimes that's hard to, you know, hear. It's like, well, I do have a bad day. Well, I'm sorry. That guy's going to bring it today, and he's taking those reps.
Walk us through your schedule. Sandusky, Buckeye, and North Olmsted to start things off. How are you looking at those first 3 weeks?
Well, right now I'm just looking at Sandusky. You know, they won a playoff game last year. You know, talented group. And, you know, we've got to be prepared to play. You know, it's week 1. You don't know what someone's going to bring. You know what I mean? I know they're going to be scrimmaging here this weekend and next week as well. But, you know, what they did last year, you know, what are they going to do this year? And, you know, we just got to be ready for the what if, and anything can happen week 1.
Is the scenario of you still playing at Avon Lake up in the air, or are you going to be at home week 1?
Let me call Casey real quick. Hey, I can tell you this. We're going to play Sandusky, and we're going to have great jerseys on, okay?
It'll be somewhere, though, right?
I'll tell you that. We're going to play Sandusky.
But that's
with
plan B,
great
right?
jerseys.
That's plan B, right, Coach? You guys are going to play at Avon Lake if the facilities aren't ready right now.
Yeah. Avon Lake, I'm pretty sure.
What kind of challenge does that bring?
I mean, it's still a football field, right? They're going to have goalposts.
Yeah.
We'll kick out a ball, right? And I never got into that whole, you know, I think since my whole career I was always the underdog. We've always been picked to lose. So you always got that chip on your shoulder. You're always going into someone else's environment.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is the Southwest Conference. Everyone brings a band, actually more than just a band. They bring everything to a away game. So, I think you just got to have your guys ready to play, and if they deal with adversity well enough, it doesn't matter where you play. You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
Teams take on identities.
Mhm.
How has this team identified itself, or have they done that yet?
Actually, that's a good question because I don't think we have.
Okay.
We do got a lot of guys that come back, and our identity last year, was Cole Norris, right?
Right.
And
Right.
if they need 3 yards, we're going to call Q drip right down your throat, and Cole's going to get it. We've had a really good summer. We've had a good off season, weight room. Everyone's saying that right now. I need to see us get smacked in the face on Thursday, and I need to see who's going to be a leader. And adversity hits, who's going to step up? Because last year was Cole Norris, right? It was Brady Engel. Right now, it's still the honeymoon of the off season and the camp. Everyone's happy. Everyone's, we've hit each other a couple times, right? But what's going to happen when we get hit in the mouth? Who's going to step up and who's going to lead? That's what I'm looking for right now.
Those bullets start to fly, per se.
Yeah, and that's what you got to see.
I'm looking forward to this season for you guys. I mean, it's with a little bit of curiosity, to be honest and to be fair. I'm kind of waiting to see where you guys are going to land.
Yeah, me too. Right?
We got you 4 times, Coach. We got you week 5 against Avon Lake, week 7 against Elyria, week 8 against Avon, and week 9 at North Ridgeville. Talk about the meat grind that is the SWC. It's every night, right?
Pretty easy, right? Just show up, bring your 11 guys, you win, you leave. No, what I kind of respect is, everyone's got great kids, everyone's well coached. It's a respectful league, And Lorain County, because I'm not from Lorain County, I'm more of an East Sider. I was talking to Shapiro from the Chronicle, like the way Lorain County deals with football, no one else deals with it. The coverage, everything.
Yeah.
And in the Southwest Conference, you got to bring it. You don't have a night off. There's upsets all the time. There's, you experts always think this team's gonna win, or so it's fun. A lot of people always said I was crazy for coming back because at my old school I got out of here, and I mean it's as competitive as you can get. It's as fun as you can get, and yeah, no one wants to lose, but as a coach and a competitor, you're working your butt off every single week just to give your kids the best chance possible to be competitive on a Friday night. You can't say that everywhere else.
Yeah, Friday nights are certainly special. Kind of what brings us along, I mean, and we keep adding to our coverage because it is that special,
yeah.
and it's fun, and it's great to watch the kids excel and have great relationships with guys like you. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are. We refer to you guys as the sleeping giant, Amherst, man.
No, don't refer
because,
to us as
because
anything.
you guys had so much tradition and so much good
That's what it
times
is.
going back to when like guys like me were growing up in the '90s, man. When they were going to the playoffs every single year, and now to have Amherst kind of fighting with Avon and Avon Lake and to be with the big boys, it's good to see that again because for so long you guys were down. And now every sport is like, boom.
Yeah, what I like
We're
to tell,
here.
I tell my kids, I'm a history teacher. This ain't no history lesson. 90s don't matter. Nothing, 4 years don't matter. It's about here and now.
Yeah.
And, quite frankly, until we do something against Avon Lake, Olmsted Falls, and Avon, we shouldn't be in that discussion.
Right.
Because those are the 3 big boys, right? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
But until we take business there, we don't deserve to be in that conversation.
Right.
We got to earn it.
I love it, man. Head coach Tom Tome giving us some time here from the Amherst Steel Comets as he is kind enough to join us here today before we get the season kicked off. Coach, good luck, man. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
we got you
Coach.
off before your wife could tune on. Don't go
You're gonna
anywhere.
regret that.
Don't go anywhere. More football coverage here as we are live from Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. I hope you're enjoying it live on YouTube. Make sure you click like, follow,
Please.
and subscribe. It's completely free. We're going to have games there for you all season long. You can go back and watch last year's games as well as some of the other sports that we have covered. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back as we are at the Spitzer Auto World, man, in Amherst. It's beautiful. Welcome back to YouTube. It's the Lorain County Sports Network Coaches Show live here from Spitzer Chevy in Amherst as they have unbelievable deals going on right now. Spitzer, our world revolves around you, and they do. You heard from Jason Voss earlier in the show, and now we're talking to the coaches as we're moving fastly along, and now it's talk to one of our newest coaches as he's in his second season
Newest
here.
and oldest, actually.
How does that work, Coach? We're talking about Matt Wilson of the Elyria Pioneers, who is joining us here in his second season. Coach, thanks for giving us some time. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me out.
So talk about it, man. The experience you had from back in the day coaching to now, has it changed? What's different? What's new? What do you like? What you don't like? We'll start with the easy stuff, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's not a loaded question either.
No. No, when I jumped into coaching here in Northeast Ohio, I started off at Clearview, and I had a great experience at Clearview. I really enjoyed my time there. And then, so back then, I was young, and I felt like I was on my way to winning 8 state championships and all that kind of stuff, not really understanding how the whole thing works, but got a lot more experience now, and I love where I'm at. Elyria has been very good to me. I feel like we are in the process of building something good there. When I started there a year ago, there was a lot of stuff going on. I was the third coach in 3 years. There were some trust issues. There was commitment issues. There were kids just, some bought in, some didn't. Some wanted to do things their way or at least the way they've always done them. And so training them in the system that we use and just getting to know me. And, I had kids just openly ask me last year, hey, are you coming back next year? Like just flat out just asked me that question. And I said, yeah, I have no reason to go anywhere else. So, but now I think we're past most of that, and I think the kids are buying into what we're doing. I did have some new coaches on staff this year, so that they bring a new energy, and they bring a lot more knowledge, I think, of the game itself. They've been around the block a little bit, so I love where we're at. I like where we're going. We have a good base of kids, and I think we're going to be a lot more competitive this year.
You used one of the standard coaching words. You used process. Okay, so what does that process look like with this team, which has had challenges, which has had influences? Is it team meals? Is it meetings? Is it weight room work? How are you fostering that process?
Sure. So for us, one of the great things that we were able to do, or I wasn't the one that put it together, but our school started a sports performance class, and most of our varsity athletes were able to be a part of that class. So strength and conditioning and nutrition were a big part of that class, and that's something that the kids did from the beginning of last year, and they did it during the school day. And so that took a lot of pressure off of me as a coach with an off-season program, because the majority of my kids were in the program during the school day. And so the result of that is that we are a lot stronger across the board. Our kids have put on weight. They've grown physically. They are a lot stronger than they were in the past. And they spend time to get together in the off season in that class, right? And so that's a big deal as well. They tried to get as many football players in one section of that class, and then there's like a basketball section, and so it's going to help all of our sports at Elyria, but it's good to spend that time together with our kids. The other thing, when you're trying to kind of change what has been, is you do have to spend time together. And so this year we were able to take our kids out to the University of Toledo, for a 7-on-7 to give them some experiences outside of our facility. We were able to host some 7-on-7s this year, and that kind of brought people in, and they see that structure, and they see something that they can look forward to. These are things that we weren't able to do a lot of last year. We were just kind of jumping in where we could fit, where we could find, because I got hired at a late date. So having our own set schedule and having a process and a routine, and now our kids understand, because they say, okay, we did this last year, we're doing this again this year. There's some consistency in the program. They have an expectation of what practice should look like. It was pretty interesting. We had some players that played other sports and hadn't really been to football, and I saw at practice players coaching up other players, and the other players were kind of acting the way that things were versus what they have become. And that was really positive for me because I said, okay, it's stuff when you're there every day, maybe you don't realize it as much because we always have this goal of where we want to be that's so far out there.
Yeah.
But seeing kids kind of talk to other kids and say, no, we don't do that anymore. We're doing this now. We're doing this now. And seeing that, you're like, oh, some of them are getting the message. So there is definitely progress being made.
So coming back this year and into your second year, last year offensively, when good things happened, it was big play stuff. It was moments. It was flashes. I'm pretty sure you want to see a little bit more consistency in production. Let's kind of talk about what you're bringing back offensively. What are we going to see? Who are we going to see?
So the names and faces have changed a little bit. I think one of the strengths of our team this year will be our offensive line, actually. So
okay.
we are returning a 3-year starter, Jackson Goodspeed, all-conference performer, all-district performer, third team all-state. We're also returning another 3-year starter, but he's only a junior, Parker Osborne. He's become one of the stronger kids on our team. We had a kid across that was playing on defensive line last year that we've moved to offensive line who is the strongest kid in the team, Xavier Cross, a big, strong kid. Braden Schleimer got some spot time last year. He's now starting for us. And we have a new player out, Torrance Vaughn, and he's also another big kid. So we are much bigger across our front, and we are much stronger across our front. So I think that's going to be something that is going to give us the ability to compete with some of the teams in our league. Our league is not at a loss for good players and talent. So
or good lines either, for that matter.
Yeah, pretty much every team's got somebody or multiple somebodies.
What's your identity going to be? Because last year you had such an impactful running back that you could just lean on and a workhorse. What is the new identity for the Pioneers?
So last year we were limited in a lot of different ways just for a number of reasons. But this year we're way more multiple. And I think we're trying to give our kids more answers pre-snap with reads and some options and some stuff like that. So I think we have some kids that are dynamic playmakers in space. But last year we just, for whatever reason, couldn't seem to get them the ball in those situations. I think this year the focus will be to get that ball out quicker, get it out on the perimeter, and let those kids kind of do what they do. Our line, like I said, should hold up and give us the opportunity to do that a little bit more. Our quarterback is a dual threat kid. He's going to be a good runner for us. He's strong. He's put together.
Who are you leaning towards right now?
He finished our season last year. His name's Antonio Pride.
Okay.
He started at safety for us last year and at wide receiver, and then the last couple games he moved into the quarterback role. Did a nice job to end the year. Has had a great off season. He's a team leader. He gets guys to practice. He is a positive influence on guys. So he's really grown as a player and as a leader on our football team. So he's kind of taken the reins. And like I said, we have these kids on the perimeter that I think are very good players, and we just got to give them the opportunity to go out and show that.
So the challenge, and we started by talking about the offensive line. We've moved into specialists, but you talked about it, stretching the field a little bit. That means those offensive line guys got to be mobile. They've got to be able to move the pocket along with your quarterback and be active out on the edge. That's tough for high school linemen. I mean, the good ones can figure it out.
Sure.
It's tough.
Yeah, but again, it's the other thing that not to kind of belabor the point, but being hired late and getting a staff late and not getting a system in place on time and kind of just relying on parts of what we had from the previous regimes or the previous teams. So, yes, we tried to lean on our tailback last year because he was a proven commodity. We tried to lean on certain things, but it never really gelled. It never really looked the way it should look. We struggled offensively last year, just no bones about it. And so, like I said, this year we're just trying to give our kids answers instead of trying to force, say an off-tackle play into an 8-9-man box because that's the play that's called. We're trying to give our kids a little, some outs and some stuff like that so that we can get out of that kind of stuff and put ourselves in a position where we can kind of dictate what we want to do offensively.
On the other side of the ball last year, you were, if I'm not wrong, you were running. It's almost a gadget defense, a 33. If you do it well, it's good. But what it meant was that you had a lot of really good defensive backs, almost a couple of monster backs back there that would come up. Are you going to stick with that defense? What are you doing on that side of the ball?
So one of our changes was we brought in a couple new guys on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to be more of a traditional 3-man front.
Okay.
Everybody's got a little wrinkle to it, and we do too, but we're more of a 3-man front. Yes, last year we were a stacked defense. That was just because that's what I had brought with me from Berea Mid-Park, and that was based on personnel. When you don't have, like, the big thumper linebacker type kids, you got to protect them. And so you protect them and let them run around and go make plays. And we had a couple really good kids last year that did a great job of doing that. One graduated and another one returns for us. Our leading tackler from last year, Levi Springer, he's back. He'll be playing middle linebacker for us, and he's all over the field. He's a kid that has a high motor, and he will make a ton of tackles.
Has he gotten any bigger?
He
was okay, but I thought with a few more lbs on him.
He was a strong safety playing middle linebacker last year. He's gotten a little bigger. Our other linebackers that'll play are a little bit bigger as well.
Good.
Again, across the board, we've kind of gotten bigger, and so that should help us. But we'll be more of a traditional 3-man front.
Goals for this season, Coach. What are you looking for? Is it about wins or losses? Is it about the culture and changing things? And then I'll hit you with the other part of the question. Are you going to beat Lorain? because Coach Boyes said that it was one of their goals every year.
Yep.
It's beat Elyria.
Yeah. Right.
Is that hanging on your board to beat Lorain?
I would say our goals right now are to be competitive with everybody that we play. When you had the kind of season we had last year, it's more about trying to fix what we do rather than worrying about what others do. And like I said, we have a better system in offensively. We have we have a coaching staff on defense that is together, and so they work better together. And I think that's going to make our defense better as a whole. Definitely, our kids do get excited for the Lorain game. They all know each other.
Sure.
It's funny. Right. We went over there and played on the freshman game, and kids knew each other. And then we played in the varsity game, and kids all know each other. And then we played in the JV game, and all the kids know each other. And so they do know each other. Our kids are excited about it. We did not play very well against them last year. They definitely put it on us. They earned that win, and they got it. So hopefully we can turn the tables on them this year.
That's right.
All right, is this a point where you can go, it's going to be a different game this year? Are you comfortable saying that?
I'm comfortable saying that our team is much improved.
Gotcha. That's fair. I like it. So you're starting off Mayfield, Lorain, Brunswick to start things off. I kind of see, the Lorain and Brunswick probably as precursors taking you into that SWC steps along the way. Is that kind of the way that's designed?
So I inherited the schedules that were here.
All right. So no.
Well, I got here and they said we're playing Mayfield, and so our third game last year was Akron East. That's a difficult game for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Could never guarantee a freshman game. The travel, the gates aren't very good. Brunswick checks all those boxes for us. But Brunswick is probably more similar to a lot of the teams in the SWC in a way, in terms of like just their makeup and the amount of kids that'll be playing football for them and the style of football that they're going to play. That's probably a truer gauge of an SWC team than maybe even Mayfield and Lorain. And so it's a game that'll be interesting just because I think we're like in separate worlds. But That's actually only a 1-year deal for us because they actually, well, it was going to be a 2-year deal, something with the rivalry with Strongsville or Medina.
Okay.
With Medina got out of that other league, and they wanted to keep the game with Brunswick, so it had to be moved to week 3. So we switched our schedule with them, and we'll be playing Barberton next year, week 3. So it's a weird mix, but
The things you don't think the head
Right.
coaches need to think about.
Yeah.
right. So Brunswick, it'll be a one-time thing, and we'll just see how it goes.
I guess I always kind of like when you've got at least 2 of the 3 teams at the beginning,
Sure.
where you're playing them consistently. You get to
Yep.
know each other. You get to they become measuring sticks.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know that you have maybe Lorain, but you don't
Right.
really have a measuring stick game in that first couple weeks.
Yeah, again, Mayfield was new to us last year, and obviously new to me because I was the first-year coach there. But they play a good brand of football as well. They're well coached, they're disciplined, but they're not overwhelmingly huge, and they don't have like crazy numbers or anything like that. So I do think it's a good matchup for us. Lorain it's a rivalry game. It's a game our kids get up for, as we've already talked about. I think Lorain's a great game. I think we should always play that game.
Agreed.
Just
by the way.
locally, it's a good game. It's a good gate. People are interested in it. The whole area comes out to watch it if they can. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a great game. And Coach and I talked in the off season, and he talked about maybe creating a trophy for that game and that sort of thing. And I think that's a great idea. And now I think our schools are talking about doing something with all sports. So I think that's definitely something that, since we're not in the same league, it's great that we play each other in non-league and in all the other sports as well.
You're talking 2 Lorain guys, Admiral King and Southview. I think we're 100% on board with that. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's almost like that, like you're born with that little Massillon football.
That's exactly it.
And I enjoy that they still have the games on Friday nights in Lorain.
Yeah.
Compared to the Saturday afternoon games that they have in Elyria. I think it changes the dynamics of the game so much.
Saturday games are a unique situation. Personally, I'd prefer to play a Friday night game. Just it messes the JV schedule. It messes the whole prep week in terms of your scheduling. So it kind of gets you out of your routine, and in a program that I'm trying to establish routine as constants that they can always count on. Every Monday's this, every Tuesday's this, every Wednesday's this, every Thursday, Friday. When you mess that routine up, then you kind of reteach everything.
I think I have yet to meet a coach that likes a Thursday night game or a Saturday afternoon or Saturday night game. Athletes in general, football players specifically, are creatures of habit. I mean, I know that I'm practicing in helmets and shoes on Monday.
Right.
I know, we're hitting on Tuesday.
Right.
Thursday we're timing up, and this throws everything off. How do you adjust your schedule to that to accommodate?
Yeah. So the only good Thursday night game is week 1. If you can play week 1 on a Thursday night, that's a good one because then you get that extra day for week 2.
Right.
And your kids are ready to go. It's as fresh as they're ever going to be. Right. It's
Right.
that first week they're ready to go. But when you get a Saturday game, so like, for example, last year we played Lorain on a Saturday. Our JV game was on a Thursday. And so it's unique because, we, at least us, we still have a few kids that are kind of crossover kids,
Yeah.
they'll play a few snaps or they're a backup in the varsity game, or they're on special teams in the varsity game. And you want to go out and play in the JV game and you want to win, but you also are like, I can't have this kid get injured. Or I can't have this kid get dinged up in this game. And so there's a unique situation there. Now, if you have 80 kids and it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter. But in our situation, you do have to kind of, I don't want to say limit the ability for those kids to play because you still want them to play.
But you got to count quarters.
But you got to count. Yep.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. So it all matters. So for us, so if we, like, for example, we're playing on a Saturday, we're going to probably be a little bit shorter. Like Monday is probably going to be more of a fundamentals type day. We're just going to get back to basics. We're going to reteach everything. We're going to just walk through some stuff, make sure it's an extra opportunity to hammer our special teams and just make sure we kind of have all those things in order, and then we kind of hit that normal work week starting on a Tuesday. So it's a bonus day in a lot of ways. You lose that prep time for the following week, though, and then that Saturday, so you got to kind of double it up, or not double it up, but you got to add a little time on that following Monday just to get your kids out there. But today with Huddle and all the technology and stuff like that, you can get a lot of information out to kids in a lot of different ways.
That's right.
Prior to that, so.
I had legitimate film back when I played, so
Yeah, where we had to actually rewind it.
Yeah.
You had to go trade tapes at a random donut shop.
No, I'm talking legitimate film. But that
film,
was a long time ago with the clicking and the anyway.
Head coach Matt Wilson giving us some time from the Elyria Pioneers as we are chatting it up. Looking forward to this season. We're going to have Elyria week 2 against Lorain. Richard Flowers and the Lorain County Friday Night Lights crew will have them on week 5. And then they're back on the radio week 7 against Amherst. On YouTube, week 8 against Midview. And then week 10, they will be on YouTube again against Avon. So we're excited to see the development of the Elyria Pioneers. Coach, thank you so much for giving us some time, and good luck this season.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me out. You guys are doing a great job covering sports.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. Head coach Matt Wilson from the Elyria Pioneers will be right back. We got more coaches here sitting here at Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. We got pizza as we're having a great time. Come on down, buy a car, as they have whatever you need, whether it's a Chevy or a Volkswagen or anything else. This is the Spitzer Auto World. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on YouTube. Welcome back to Spitzer Chevy in Amherst, where we are here talking to football coaches from the Southwestern Conference, as well as Elyria Catholic and Lorain, as we are diving into the coaches talk per se, as we're breaking down the season before it starts, as we're just 3 weeks away from week 1 here in Lorain County, and we're continuing our Southwestern Conference tour with North Ridgeville Rangers head coach Brian Morgan. Coach, thank you so much for giving us some time. How's camp been going so far? Are the guys itching to get back on the field?
Yeah, with everything that you can do in the summer now, they give you 13 days, and you work with your guys all season long. Or all year long. It's just a nice transition into now. It's mandatory practice. You get to have everybody. We're not fighting summer baseball, and all those little things. So it's nice to see the guys every single day consistently, and we're getting some good progress.
Progress coming off of what was really a beast season last year. I mean, you guys really put it together and played some great ball. Is the excitement there? Is the confidence there that may have been lacking in the past, and now that the program's establishing?
I think that what we said is a standard, for North Ridgeville, and I told the guys, back in January when we met for the first time for speed training on a Saturday morning, is, we don't want to be defined as a class. We're a program now. We graduated a lot of really good football players with the senior class last year, and some of those guys are going to be really hard to replace. But we're excited. We're just we get this feeling right now that we're not sure where we're at just yet, and we'll get that on Friday when we go up against Strongsville and Painesville Riverside.
It'll be a good test. Let's start breaking those players down, though. You said that there were some that left, and in particular, that line, your offensive line, was full of good senior leaders. How are you going to manage that process of replacing those guys?
Yeah, well, Jason Ellison was a junior for us last year that probably was just as good or better as some of the guys that graduated last year. J.D. Radway and Andrew Flesher were two guys that were 4-year letter winners for us that, it's really hard to replace those guys. But Jason, not only with his experience and his work that he did in the offseason, he's really setting the tone and, communication on the line. We have him moved to center right now. And he can talk to the young guys that don't have experience on either side. So that has really helped us out in the last couple of days with that switch in camp. And, we've got some sophomores that had to grow up quite early.
Yeah.
And, Gavin Knepp is going to be our left tackle. Gavin's 6'3", 240. He was a 3-sport athlete up until his freshman year, and really athletic, strong kid. And then, we're going to have some fights, some battles for the other positions. And it's fun to see every day in practice. I think that we were joking around second day of camp. It didn't look like we could run a play. And then, today we're scoring touchdowns against the first defense. And they're really starting to gel. And, when we scored a touchdown last Saturday, we did a little inter-squad scrimmage. They're high-fiving each other. They're excited about it. And that's some of that confidence that you guys talked about we're starting to see come around with those guys.
Other part of that story, though, is that in the specialty positions offensively, dude.
Yeah.
How do you replace the Swiss Army knife that is Charlie Steinmetz?
Right?
Yeah, well, one good thing is, Cole Miller, our quarterback, is, he's 6'3", he's 6'5", 230 pounds now.
Wow.
Just cleaned 285 pounds last week.
Nice.
He is he set the record for our school with our football program.
And to interrupt you, Coach, I think he's benching 300 pounds. I've seen him
Yep.
on social media as well for a quarterback, Don.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's he's starting center for the basketball team, so he's extremely athletic. He'll be a 3-year starter for us. And Zach Barnhart is extremely special. And
yes, he is
one of those guys that we talked about it before his freshman year. We weren't sure that we were going to start a freshman running back, and our defense couldn't tackle him, so we got to put him back there. And Cole Allison is the guy that's going to try his best to replace Charlie at our H-back position. Cole was a kid last year that practiced with the varsity as a sophomore. Was Charlie's backup until he got hurt in a JV game. And, he's a special player as well. Dylan DeShazo, Austin DeShazo's brother, that was our starting middle linebacker last year. Fastest kid on the team. He'll be another slot for us. You know, when he gets the ball in space, he's dangerous. And then we might have, you know, some of the best wide receivers that we've had since I've been there. So Duke Baker started for us last year. Eric Lengauer was a junior on the JV team last year and had a heck of an offseason, one of the faster guys on the team. They're both sitting about 6'2" right now. And, you know, Gavin Couch, who is a kid who is playing for the first year, is about 6'3" and can take the top off.
Wow.
And he was a baseball guy. We talked him into playing. So
the benefits of being in the building.
Yeah.
And, you know, so when we get the ball out in space, we got some guys that can make some plays. So we're hoping that takes a little pressure off the inexperience on the offensive line.
The tendency for guys like us is to look at that offense and go, they're going to be explosive. They're just going to throw up tons of points. Is that a fair assessment right now?
We have to, you know, it's funny because last year we were a 10-play drive, you know, team, you know, because we had all the offensive linemen, Charlie, Zach, you know, and we could just, you know, get 4 yards here, 5 yards here. And I think that's going to have to be what we do this year.
Okay.
You know, it's not going to be one of those where we can just pound it, and, you know, score a touchdown. We're going to have to get our guys the ball in space and see if they can make a play. I know that, you know, makes our defensive coordinator a little nervous because we won't eat a lot of time. But, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, you get points where you can take them, and I'm hoping that we can be explosive this year.
And then to switch sides and talk about the defense, who gave up just 15 points per game last year. Your strength is obviously your defensive ends, and then you bring back some quality DBs. Talk about your defense.
Yeah, you know, we bring back 7 starters on the defense. So, you know, our defensive line they're all back. We're actually switched up our scheme on defense to try to get them all on the field. So we'll be a forefront this year.
Okay.
Because we rotated a lot of guys, 4 guys last year, and you know, that was our strength coming back this year with our defensive backs. So we take 1 linebacker off because we lost 3 extremely good linebackers last year. You know, the best defensive player in the conference, Carson Matus, graduated. So, you know, Carter Clark will be a 3-year starter for us at safety. You know, he's one of the guys that will tell everybody what to do. He'll call the coverages. He does a really good job. And then, you know, Perry Dixon at corner for us started at the end of the year last year, was a wide receiver at the beginning of last year. And, you know, we made the switch, and he really got into it. And then Luke Mraz is another guy that will be at our other corner. And then Brian Strippy is another guy that, you know, he was an EC transfer.
Yep.
You know, he had some pick sixes last year, and, you know, he's a special kid as well. So we're hoping we can take a little pressure off the linebackers. But, you know, Ryan Anderson, who started at slot for us last year, put on some weight, has a lot of good strength, and he moved inside at linebacker along with Nolan Gill, who is our only returning linebacker. So we're really excited to see what those guys can do inside.
So talk about that process of moving your defense and going from, you know, one front to another front. I mean, generally skills are transferable, but if I'm a defensive lineman and I go from shooting gaps to holding up gaps or creating gaps, there's a change in mentality that has to come along with that.
Yeah, you know, last year they just kind of got pressure and tried to screw things up and make sure that the linebackers could make the play. And, you know, what we saw is, you know, they not only have gotten stronger, but they've gotten quicker. Braden Laszlo, who's our field defensive end, was a linebacker up until last year. And, you know, so at field end, that's pretty much what he's a linebacker. He's got to keep the edge, and, you know, he does a really good job with that. They don't get too deep, and, you know, I think that they're going to be able to cause some havoc in there. Christian Ensley already has a couple scholarship offers, and had a great offseason. He's a great kid, guy that's going to bring the juice. He's really leading those guys to be, you know, very special for us this year. So we're hoping that, you know, the scheme-wise, you know, our defensive coordinator, Drew Foyt's a great defensive mind guy, and he gets the kids to play at a high level. So, you know, I told him, I was like, you know, we ran a 3-3 for the last 2 years and had you know, one of the best defenses in the area for 2 years, and he's really confident that we can get it done with this new switch.
First 3 games of the year, your non-conference schedule: North Olmsted, Valley Forge, North Royalton. I look at that and I'm going, okay, does that set you up for SWC play? And I think in part, yeah, because you get to play on a Friday night, but maybe not teams that are directly setting you up.
Yeah, Mike always talks about the first 3 games set them up for the playoffs. Well, our conference sets us up for the playoffs, and
Sure.
we're unfortunately everything got bumped up this year, and we played Avon in week 4. We're gonna
welcome to it, right?
Playing the defending state champs in week 4, first week of the conference, but. North Royalton. I'll start with North Olmsted. Tim Brediger is a great coach.
Yeah.
They're always prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you've seen them down for the last couple of years. But my first year, which was just 4 years ago, they beat us by 40-some points. So they're still a good program, and he does a great job. So they'll be ready for us. And Valley Forge gets us a little bit of the scheme that we'll use to try to play Olmsted Falls and some of the other teams that are major run teams in our conference. So that's a big one for us. It's the same thing. I mean, I think that we upset them my first year. They were ranked in the state and had a kid going to Purdue to play running back and was a finalist for Mr. Football. And so they always have some guys that are going to give us a look. And then North Royalton's always tough, and I think they've got a transfer at quarterback this year, and I know Coach is really excited about his junior class, so they'll be a good test before we go into Avon.
You mentioned playoffs, and it's something we talked about kind of off air before we started recording. For 16 last year, 12 this year, you were in favor of that.
Yeah, that's what I voted because it's good for schools. I'm not sure that it's going to make a big difference in who wins the region, but going back down to 8, I think that there were some teams that were 9, 10, 11, 12 that could probably beat one of the 4, 5, 6, 7 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Because their conference was better and they didn't have the best record, but they're beating somebody that had a better record. When you got into the playoffs, so. It's a good opportunity for those other schools that may not have the best record, but like I said, I'm not 100% sure that it's going to make the biggest difference in who wins their region.
Does it at some level kind of take that conference issue into consideration? I mean, for example, you play in the SWC. It's a great conference. You guys are beating the heck out of each other, and it's going to impact your record. Does this create an opportunity for some of those teams that took some tough knocks in conference play to maybe have a chance at the back end?
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, especially if you have an injury where a guy comes back at the end of the year,
sure.
And or you got a young team. Tom DeLuca is a great coach at Olmsted Falls, and he's replaced I think 9 guys on his defense the last 2 years. And, each week you can see them getting better because there's inexperience at the beginning of the year, and then they just grow into those positions. So, you get a team like that might lose a game or 2 at the beginning of the year because of the inexperience, and all of a sudden they're playing some pretty dangerous football at the end of the year.
Does it justify the early start?
I don't know. I kind of like, our first playoff game's on Halloween this year. That's kind of cool.
I hadn't looked that far in advance. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a cool atmosphere, and, the early start's good if you're going to have that many weeks in the playoffs.
Gotcha. Okay.
Coach, we talked a little bit about quarterback Cole Miller, but let's talk about running back Zach Barnhart, who's been like light years up above his age. I mean, like you said, he started as a freshman, but even when you talk to him, you can tell like he's just not a normal, young kid. What are the expectations for him? How good can he be?
Yeah, he's a very humble kid. He's a hard worker, loves the weight room, spent a lot of time this offseason with speed. He knows that he wants to play college football at the next level, and he knows that, for his size and at running back position, he's got to be really fast. So he's done a great job this offseason of getting his body prepared. He's a little leaner than he was last year.
Okay.
So I think that when he gets the ball in space, I think you're going to see some special things from him this year. And, he's a guy that he's quiet. I always talk about he's kind of like an Austin DeShazo for us last year, where he was a leader, but he didn't say anything to you. He would just show you how to do it every single day. And, he's a humble guy. And he's one of the best running backs that we've seen through North Ridgeville, and his statistics will show it. I mean, he's going to be if you can erase DeMario McCall from our
say.
history, he's the best running back we've had.
He's a unique guy, you know. But if you're drawing that comparison, that's significant.
Yeah, I mean, DeMario's numbers were crazy. I mean, you would.
They're two different styles.
Yeah,
obviously,
for sure.
we get it.
And there was just the numbers that DeMario got to put up in 2015, 16. Zach is going to be pretty close to a lot of those numbers in 4 years.
But see, there's the point. It's a 10-year break.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a special player if you've got to wait 10 years for the next guy to, and that is the next guy.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty unique situation.
Sure.
Anybody else on the squad that's getting a lot of college looks right now?
It's Zach's gotten some interest. Cole Miller has got an offer to play quarterback at Lawrence Tech in Michigan, NAIA school.
Okay.
And he's tried out with some of the MAC schools to play tight end.
Okay.
So he's got great hands, got good speed.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's one of the things this year. If you see him go out to wide receiver, you might see him catch a ball this year. So
it's not a decoy.
Mark that down.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the culture change at North Ridgeville? Because over the last few years, man, I mean, just all of the sports, it seems like, but especially football, you guys have turned into a football school.
Yeah.
Talk about just you see it every day because you're in the hallways. Just the kids buying in and just the pride that it is to be a Ranger now.
Yeah, I always go back to the first group we had. When I took over, we had a group of seniors that knew that we weren't going to win the conference. They knew that it was going to be a rough year, but they said it's time for us to change. So I always like to give them the credit. They're the guys that started the tradition of the seniors cleaning the locker room at the end of each practice and at the end of games. That stuff carries, a lot of weight to what they do in the off season and the expectations that we had. And then, to pair them up with a good young group, the seniors that we just graduated, I just think it was a perfect storm. And then you add in the fact that we just keep adding houses left and right in North Ridgeville. So it's going to be it's a good combination, and then the numbers going up, and there's a lot of competition for spots right now, and it's a fun time. I tell our youth guys all the time, it's a fun time to be a North Ridgeville Ranger.
And sometimes, the guy at the top has to take some credit for that. I've told Coach this before. I thought he was a nut for leaving basketball to step into a football program that was struggling. And clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about because you've done a great job with that. And I'll repeat that one forever because I think a lot of that credit lies squarely on your shoulders, and change it starts at the top.
I appreciate that, and until we show that we're consistent every single year, I will take credit for it, but I'm not going to take it until that happens.
Fair enough.
Coach, before we let you go, each team has like a hurdle that they can't get over. And for you, it's someone in your conference.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a great season, and then come week 14 or 15 who you're going to see before you can get out of districts and regionals. Is Avon the staple that you guys try to get over that hump?
Yeah, I mean, Mike talked at the state clinic this year about how he runs his program, and I was sitting, right there listening. Every time I can steal something from him, and him and I have had conversations, and he said that his situation in Avon wasn't much different than what's going on in North Ridgeville right now. Yeah. With the population boom and just a culture switch. We've got some great families moving in North Ridgeville, and it's just we try to do things similar to what they do, because I don't think anybody can argue what they're doing isn't right.
Yeah.
They, with the youth programs, we try to mirror their model, and this year. For the first time that I know of in North Ridgeville history, we're going to have every single North Ridgeville youth football player playing underneath one roof with our rec program, and we have over 300 kids playing youth football for North Ridgeville this year, and it's something that we're really proud of, and that's where it starts. You got to get the guys out, and you got to get them to want to play year after year. I always joke around. Our middle school coach was really upset one year because they had lost a couple games. And in a row, he's like, I don't know, we're not getting any better. And I go, look in the back of the bus. The guys have smiles on their face. He goes, yeah, it looks like we hadn't even lost yet. I go, that's all we need.
Right now, that's it.
Teach them technique and get them to come out next year because, the numbers, when you get the kids to be excited about playing, then, you can get them there. You can teach them how to play football, and then you can start winning some games.
A little bit of perspective.
Coach Brian
Like it.
Morgan from North Ridgeville giving us some time. Coach, thank you so much. We got you week 1, week 4, week 5, week 6, and week 9 this season. So we're going to be definitely blowing up your email here shortly.
Are we watching?
All right, great. Yeah. Say a little prayer for us every night, guys.
Don't go anywhere. We got more coaches lined up here. We're live from Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. It's the 2025 Coaches Show here on Lorain County Sports Network. It's free. Make sure you click the subscribe button on YouTube. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Coaches Show here at Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. Dave Rivera joined alongside Don Vincent as we get you ready for the 2025 high school football season. And we're joined now by the head coach of the Avon Lake Shoremen, Matt Kostelnik. We were taking an extra long break as we were just listening to his vacation plans from the summer. I'm jealous as Coach just got back from Portugal and Spain to come right back here to Northeast Ohio. Coach, thanks for giving us some time, man. How are you?
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
And we've got pizza after all of that. All the food in Portugal and Spain. So kind of let's just jump in and let's start talking about your Shoremen. You know, a 6-5 record last, which I think is ridiculously deceptive in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, we had some close games. Obviously, double overtime in Olmsted Falls, and then obviously we got the win against Ridgeville and had to kick 4 field goals to win that game.
Yeah.
But I think it was Drew Pastures had us rated as like the 4th toughest schedule in Division II last year, and it doesn't get any easier this year with adding Medina Highland and Lake Catholic. And sorry for my voices. 2 days of
that's a byproduct.
I see it cracking, but and then I think Strongsville is going to be a much improved team, and then we got to get ready for the SWC schedule, which in my opinion is going to be just as tough. I think we have 4 teams ranked too early preseason top 25. We got like 4 teams ranked in that, so we just got to come on, take it week by week and continue to improve.
Yeah, we'll talk about the conference schedule here in a little bit, but let's just kind of step back. Strongsville, Lake Catholic, Highland. Really nice job using those 3 games to get prepped, I think, in a lot of ways, right? I mean, you're going to know what you have at the end of week 3.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, normally we take Medina Highland in our preview scrimmage because that gives us a good idea. Mike Gibbons and I played at Mount Union together. He was the wheel linebacker, and they called me a strong safety, but really I was a Sam linebacker because I couldn't cover anybody man-to-man. But
appreciate the honesty. Thank you very much.
I mean, they were occasionally I dropped deep half, but for the most part they were keeping me, just outside the box. But and that was always a great indicator for us. That's how we, we're going to talk about, I'm sure, Max Riley at some point. But that's what solidified him as a starter as a freshman. Was he went into Medina Highland and was one of those 2 stud defensive tackles that he just lost were sophomores, and they beat us up pretty good, and he really hung in there and showed us what he could do. So that that was always our indicator. Okay, how tough are we? How physical are we? Let's go see what we got because we know Highland's always going to be physical. So yeah, these first 3 games and with what Lake Catholic's bringing to the table with all 5 offensive linemen back. And a pretty good tailback. And then Strongsville, I think, is going to be much improved, especially on the defensive side. The defensive front is going to be really good. Linebacking core is going to be really good. And then their tailback, I think he had like 5 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown against us last year. He's going to be only going to be a junior. They're going to have a much improved team. So for us, it's going to be coming out and playing strong early on and figuring out what we got.
Well, you mentioned the Riley kid. Let's go ahead and let's chat him up. His brother's playing for you as well, right, on the offensive line. So Max is special.
Yeah, I mean, the coach's joke, he's a unicorn. I mean, just not as like a player, he's a special kid, but like as overall character and who he represents. I mean, he started co-founded our FCA with one of our other seniors. He always is volunteering for charity work. He's always helping our younger kids. So, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better kid, and then you combine the fact that he's going to Ohio State.
Yeah.
He is, and he's a technician, and he's an animal. And my corner found out today when we did a quick screen out to the out there.
Oh.
Max just picked him up and slammed him on the ground. And I'm like, hey, what's the number 1 rule? We don't take the fat guys on head on. As the cornerbacks coach, that's like rule number 1, dude. Like you get on a screen, you run, you force the ball back in. Do not take them head on. He's like, oh, I forgot. I'm okay. Clearly you did. So, no, Max was a captain last year as a junior. So we look to continue, watching him grow in that role. And, we're blessed to have him for another year.
How big an impact is a guy like that on the program as a whole?
Yeah.
Well, anytime you have a Power 4 kid, or especially in this case with the way recruiting is today, a surefire Power 4 kid, because you don't really get those very often anymore.
Right.
Now everybody's a tweener. So we've been lucky enough since I've been head coach. We've sent somebody at least one AA Ivy League every year. So we constantly get, the joke with when I see all the D1 guys is, they go to the South, us, and then they hit up the schools we don't talk about on the west side of Cleveland, or they go to those schools, then it's us.
There's a whole lot to impact inside that sentence, by the way.
So we always have a constant, even on years we don't have a surefire power forward. We've been blessed enough as a program that David Lucas had built that these guys always come in and they always sit down and talk at least. And so with Max having a surefire one, I mean, we were constantly until he committed. I mean, it was nonstop. I mean, these guys were coming in, and of course they had my old number pre-COVID. So well, I texted you. I'm like, whatever at this point.
Right.
Just come on in. And you see everybody. When Dabo and Coach Fry would come in. Coach Fry was in all the time. Former O-line coach at Ohio State. People would be like, you'd see all the kids lining up in the cafeteria. And then when finally Ryan Day came coming rolling through, I mean, even the staff was coming down. So we had to sit and talk. And actually, a funny moment with him is I introduced him to Drew Pastor. I'm like, oh, Drew Pastor, this. And he goes, what the hell is Drew Pastor? So I put it up on the board. And his son's at Columbus DeSales. So he starts going through. He's like, oh, that's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. I'm like, well, here's the prediction. Here's the outcome. Here's his algorithm. And I mean,
right.
And
which is impressive. Right.
Yes.
He spent 15 minutes basically staring at the board, just analyzing everything. But it's been fantastic, and hopefully we got a few young pups right now that I think are going to be potentially in that world as well. So, but they got to get out and they got to play.
And it doesn't stop there because Aiden Stewart's committed as well, and he's going D1, right?
Yeah, he committed to Air Force. So he had all the academies. So he's another one that we had guys
so impressive
coming in asking, they want to talk to him and get him out of class, get their eyes on him. And he's one that, again, if it wasn't for the portal, I think he would have been maybe in the mix for those, those lower P4 schools type of deal with his breakaway speed and what he can do on the field. And, he does a lot for us, and he's going to do a lot for us this season. So, we're super proud of him. I mean, we're glad his parents made the decision to transfer him from Australia to us. And that was great. When he got his first offer from Kent, it was during the season. Coach Carney was sitting. He called me up. He said, hey, I can't get to you. And we're looking at me and him were just sitting there watching film as we're starting pregame warm-up. And I'm like, Aiden, get in here. And I'm like, call your dad right now so he knows.
Right.
His sacrifice wasn't in vain. You got your first offer, and then he fell in love with the academies and felt that, I even told him when we picked up Air Force, I'm like, hey, you got to go out there. His other grandparents actually live out in Aspen. So I'm like,
okay,
you got to go check this out. Like, I've been to Air Force Academy. My dad lives out in Colorado since I was second grade. So
wow.
I'm like, it's a pretty special place. And so he ended up visiting all three, and he got back from Air Force. He's like, oh my God, beautiful place.
Yeah.
And to have a couple kids like that on
right
on your team and in your locker room and at your desk, I mean, it's a lot more work for you and for your staff, but it's got to be the biggest joy in the world to have that opportunity.
It's a lot of fun too, and then secretly on the back end, it's nice because when we do get kids who think they're D1 and be like, can you do what he does?
Yeah.
Max hand cleans like 315 for reps, like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Aiden can pretty much do whatever he wants on the football field. So it is nice to set the tone. Like, okay, hey, like we're going to continue to work and build you, but like these kids
understand this is
the level.
This is what you got to get to. And like I said, I got a couple young kids that show a ton of potential and room for growth. And so, getting them on the field this year, getting them on tape and kind of seeing what, where they're going to go in their careers, and they know what they have to do to kind of start being seen. But again, with the way the portal works and how recruiting is, I mean, it's just tough to see, this kid's a no-brainer. And it's like, well, really, Max was a no-brainer. And here's Aiden, the Division I kid, and we're like, all right, he's got the academies. Like, is there going to be other stuff coming in? So it's a tough world. But, just to have a surefire one, and then now Aiden, like, we just feel really blessed, and we're very happy where we're at.
Relieved that those decisions are made?
For sure. Yeah. I know Max was interviewing with Matt Gould earlier today, and I kind of overheard part of the conversation. Max was like, I'm just glad to be done. I mean, it started spring of his sophomore year. It started with Toledo, and then all of a sudden Florida State offer. Then before I know it, like then Miami offer.
Yeah,
and
just
then
one after another.
And it just came rolling, and then it was just nonstop. So one thing I don't worry about Max, he's got a great head on his shoulder. He's got a great family nucleus that supports him. And he's not afraid to say, hey, okay, when I've had enough, I've had enough. Like, and he picked his 4 pretty quick, and he had great sound reasons for him. And then finalizing with Ohio State was a pretty special moment. It was exciting.
Yeah, no doubt. I actually saw a picture of the scholarship letter. I know his dad.
Right.
And
Dan comes in all the time.
Just the coolest thing.
Right? Yeah.
Right?
And I haven't seen that. I don't remember them doing this in the past, but then all of a sudden it's like this is like official now. This is coming to you. So it's going to be exciting when those guys sign an early signing period this year.
Who is Max going to be protecting? Who is going to be getting Aiden Stewart the ball? Is the big question.
So, kind of theme of the day is we are young, kind of across the board, even with our seniors having limited varsity time the last couple of years. But we have guys that did great on JV. But as of right now, our starters, Dawson Tenbrink, he's a sophomore. Young dude had a great season for us at the freshman level last year. We actually brought him up and got him in a couple games, and then his backup is Cheon. Cheon does a great job as well. Dawson kind of has the edge. He's more of a physical specimen, really good at running the ball. So as of right now, it's him, and he's continuing to grow. I mean, with us having a spring 7-on-7 that we did this year with Ridgeville North Olmsted, we saw a ton of growth. So we're excited for what he can do. We just got to make sure he's protected and give him an opportunity to move the ball around. Because I think one thing we are deep at is, especially a wide receiver. We have a ton of plug-and-play kids. We've got some kids that, coming off of great JV seasons have really stepped up as seniors. Our other one, Summerfield, coming back. He was one of our most productive wide receiver and defensive guys last year, one kind of that core defensive group. And so he's got the weapons. We just got to find him the time and make sure he delivers the right place.
The backfield is always, last few seasons has been like a committee type role because of injuries.
Yeah.
How is that position looking, Coach?
I was just talking about that. We haven't finished the season with our start
Right.
the start of our running back. Well, hopefully that does not happen again. And just kind of freak stuff. Wade. Twice he got injured, and unfortunately, and then last year Benedict, I think it was after like week 7 or 8. So it's been a while. But we have a kid. He hadn't actually played football until last year, so he played mostly JV. He put on about 20 pounds in the off season. By the end of the season, we were putting him in. He was averaging about 6 yards a carry. So Ezra Jones is going to be our single carry in the backfield, and then we got a couple guys behind him, a couple juniors in Rudnicki and Streeter that have shown that they can do some good stuff for us in the backfield. So. Won't really. It'll be a little bit of a committee in the sense of we want to make sure we get those guys some carries and stuff like that. But right now, Ezra is our number one, and he's every day in practice he continues to get better. Like I said, he put on 20 solid pounds of muscle, and he looks like he's ready to be. If you were to walk in right now, you're like, oh, that kid's a good-looking kid. So, and he's a great kid too. He's mentoring a couple of our younger guys. Some of those guys that I told you that I think are going to have a lot of potential. They're just really, really young, and. He's really fallen into a leadership role, so we're excited to see what he can do this year. Like I said, every practice he seems to get a little bit better. He's tough, and if he can keep his pad level down, he's going to be even tougher.
Other side of the ball, I thought that was where you were probably the hardest hit, even though we're talking offense now, and you got a lot of it. That defense was pretty senior laden last year.
So yeah, we have a lot to replace right now up front, but I think our defense is showing signs of really being good this year. We have our nucleus is what I was kind of talking about before, Eric Van Ewen and Caleb Smith in between. Caleb lost like 30 pounds. He's shredded now, like 215, and, man, he's moving, and we're hoping, we keep joking. It was, I don't know if you guys remember my 164-pound Syntec from way back on our regional championship teams. We had that nose tackle.
Yeah.
We couldn't get a playoff in practice, and right now, Caleb and between the two of them, like we're and having a young quarterback, it's been a struggle. And then the guys behind him are playing fast. Sam Huffman's coming back. He's a top 3 production guy for us. We moved him to middle linebacker. And we have a senior, a sophomore, and a junior all kind of rotating at those other spots, and we're playing fast, or when we're getting after it. And Summerfield being at safety, Corners will be new, but they're long. You know, we're getting kind of back in the days when for whatever reason, we were been blessed with long corners. You know, one guy's like 6'1", 6'2". You know, the other dude's like 6'3", and then we have a real young kid right now who's rotating, showing us signs. A freshman that he's every bit about 6'3" and long and can move. So,
you know, people think about Avon Lake football, they tend to think offense, and I'm not sure why, because your defense over the last 6-7 years, Matt, has been nuts. Are we going to see that again? Are we going to see that very stingy defense?
I mean, that's the game plan right now. Like what they've been doing at practice. I mean, we'll see what we come out with Lorain, but I'm very confident where we're at on defense. I mean, our pass rush has been great. We actually, Caden Vinecourt came back after he just graduated from BW, and he's put a shot of life in our D line, and they're hitting home. I mean, when you run the style of defense we have, you got to hit home with your 4. At least that threat has got to be in the back of their mind, and I think that's coming back this year.
He's already graduated college?
I know, isn't that
Man,
crazy?
now I feel old.
Yeah.
See, it's not good, is it?
That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, so Caden's joining our staff, and then Avery actually decided college football wasn't for him, and he's doing really well. He's in fire school and stuff like that, and EMT school. So he's
cool.
He's on a great path right now. But yeah, Vine Courts are coming back. So
Yeah, that's really cool.
Right back
hopefully they
home.
bring that production with them as well, and put it back into our D line.
So how is the community with the team right now? Because, you know, I think forever the expectations were, you know, way up here. And I know that they're, you know, and this was a long time ago, some discontent. What kind of support are you getting right now?
Oh, the community's been, great. Parents, everybody's been great. They, you know, everybody knows we're going to be young, but, you know, Mac Brown always said you want to be good when you're young. So the expectation is going to still be the same, that we have to come out and produce. You know, last year, you know, we had some injuries and we were able to battle back, and, you know, still like to take that first playoff game back. We had every opportunity to win that game, and we really kind of lost it on that last drive. And the year before, you know, when you know, we lost a few games, had some key injuries, and all of a sudden, you know, we're going toe to toe with eventually the state champion, you know, in the second round of the playoffs. 3 years ago. But the expectations don't change. I mean, the expectations are the expectations in Avon Lake, that we got to produce and put out a winning team. And, you know, our schedule is going to be tough, but the way our boys are playing right now and the confidence I have in them, we're going to put ourselves in. Again, we continue to grow, and that's really the biggest thing, is the growth aspect that we need to have. We have some guys stepping up that we're super excited about, and now it's time to go out and prove it.
One of the things that we're talking about, in particular with the schools that have had the opportunity to be in the playoffs in the last, you know, specifically last year. So we get the change, we go from 16 down to 12. What are your thoughts on that? What do you like? What do you not like?
Well, originally I voted for 12 just because we all knew the change was coming anyway. Like, would you rather have 12 or 16? Well, I'd rather put it's like, okay, so you're telling me it's going to change. It should be fine, 12.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if you would ask me pre-COVID, I would have said go back to 8.
Right.
Mostly because I that was my breaking point in COVID, was that bye week we had.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that, like, I still, like, remember that week was just, it was just a rough week. And then we ended up coming out and playing great. So it was like, okay, high school kids can handle a bye week. You know, it's going to be okay. So, yeah, going back to 12, I think it makes sense, especially like Division I, where
I
have
agree.
winless teams that are making the playoffs. I mean, you know, when we're trying to make the appearance of the game being safer, and all of a sudden, we're adding games. It's like, well, like even the NFL, you're like, well, wait a minute. You know, you're talking about concussions, you're talking about head injuries, you're talking sustainable injuries, but yet you're adding games. I mean, how does that make sense? And I'm just being honest. I just, when we work hard to change up how we block up front, how we tackle, you know, what is our mindset? You know, we don't want to, you know, we're not, hey, we're putting our head in there and we're gonna tack the ball and we're gonna do all this other stuff. It's like, no, we're gonna shoulder tackle. We're gonna do more rugby style tackling, keep our head out of the work type of deal. Our O-line, you know, it's not going to be fire off the ball with our crown of our helmet. You know, we're coming up and under. So working hard to do our part in making the game safer for our boys, you know, relaxing at practice at certain points, you know, not doing the third, you know, you only get 30 minutes of contact, you know, every other practice type of deal. Like, we're doing all of our power, and it's like, oh, no, but we're adding games.
Right.
Oh, it just logically it didn't make sense to me. But so I'm glad it's going back to 12. I think it at least eliminates that 1-on-16. I mean, who did South even play in the first round last year? Do we even remember?
No, I don't. Well, that's the point, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't remember those games. And you know what? You know the whole history. There was 1-16 to beat 1-1 in the whole state. I mean, like, okay, how many running clocks do we have? How many kids were injured?
Right.
You know, come on.
Yeah, and let's take a South for example, right? And congrats to them and their state championship and all their success. Coach Elder and I get along very well, and I respect for him and his program. But Nolan Good goes down in that game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a 1 versus a 16 seed. I mean, that just I'm sure South, they have 1,000 kids, so I'm sure they played a ton of kids and it ended up working out for the benefit. But in general,
why?
When you're right?
Yeah.
Like
why?
You're putting a 1 versus a 16, to me, it doesn't make sense. So going back to 12, I think settles that a little bit better.
It's better. It's not as good as it could be.
Right, and I mean, look at us though. I mean, look at the sales that we drew.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a tough draw last year. I mean, that was a good football team, and their record didn't show what they were bringing to the table, and that was a slugfest really until that last kind of final drive. So, there is some good games in there potential, especially when you play. Team schedules are getting hard. I mean, if you look at our SWC in general, front to back, I mean, everybody's playing a pretty tough schedule for the most part. So, you do have opportunity where you have a team that maybe we didn't win as many games last year, but somehow we still ended up second in the SWC.
Speaks
it's
to
like
the conference.
Speaks to the conference.
Right.
When you play a tough schedule, it does benefit you later on.
Yeah.
But then you also get, you can get a crazy draw, and they played tough. I think our boys played really hard, and they ended up just kind of eking out at the end. So, either way, I agree. Going back to 12 was a better fit.
I would tend to think.
What are goals and expectations for this year, Coach? What does your team put forth in front of them?
I mean, the goals are all the same. I mean, you guys already said, like, we'll know what we have after week 3, especially if we can stay healthy, continue to improve, and watch our young quarterback continue to improve, and get the ball out to our skill players and things like that. So the goals are always the same. Like, we want to go out, we want to win SWC, we want to take that into the playoffs, that experience of playing in the SWC. The only problem is we got to play them all over again. So,
there it is.
So we get the experience no matter what, and then we got to go see them all again. And then the goal is to beat them a second time in the playoffs and get through that region and see what we really got. So, I think if we can mature, we'll quickly, and our defense plays stout and stingy, like you guys mentioned, I think we'll put ourselves in a position to be successful.
To kind of piggyback off what Don was saying, you have so much respect for what the other team does and what Coach Elder brings to the table. Does that put pressure on you, being so close?
No. The way I look at it is this way. We know what it takes to be successful against that program. We have proved in the past that we can be successful against that program. We've walked away with only a couple wins, but at the same time, what he and they have built there, that's actually pretty significant, right? Like having multiple wins. So we know the roadmap, we know the game plan. Now it's about going out and executing, and we sometimes you need a break to win that type of game. We had 4 straight games when talking about Viancourt where 3 points other than
they were all close.
One out of 4 was, I think it was multiple scores, but those games were tight. And one thing here, one thing there. The pendulum switches in the other direction. So we know what the blueprint or the blueprint is to being successful in that game, and it comes down to our kids' mindset and coming out and executing and being consistent throughout the game.
It's kind of the difference between a hateful rivalry and a respectful rivalry, right? I mean, truly, it's kind of what it comes down to. Yeah,
and really to every coach in our program or in our conference, they all do a fantastic job. I mean, I think that's what keeps our conference so competitive. And now look at all the other sports. I mean, Amherst is in the state championship game. Our girls basketball team was in the state championship game. Our girls soccer team went on a huge run. Like the sports in our conference through and through, and the coaching in our conference does such a great job. I mean, you can't help but have respect for what everybody does, because I know at the time I put into our guys and what my staff does, and my staff does a great job. so does everybody else in the league, right?
Yeah.
And they all put in that same time. So it's a respect to everybody in our conference that in all sports that put out great products. I mean, who else? Was it Falls won the state lacrosse championship?
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it'll be ever interested if they ever realign the divisions where we fall too.
That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, I know.
We need about a 45-minute one for that. Matt, congratulations, man. You guys do a great job. Thanks for spending some time with us, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, guys.
Head coach Matt Kostelnik from the Avon Lake Shoremen as they get ready for their season opener against the Strongsville Mustangs. We have one more coach here at Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. I just got word from another coach that he is on his way, so we'll see what the future holds. But don't go anywhere. You're live on YouTube. We'll be right back here on the Lorain County Sports Network. welcome back to Lorain County Sports Network as we are in the 2025 Coaches Show here, live from Spitzer Chevy in Amherst, as we are talking to the head coaches before the season starts. We're doing our SWC coverage today, and then on Thursday we will have the LC8 schools. And joining us right now is the head coach of the Division II state champion Avon Eagles, head coach Mike Elder. How has the media press tour been so far, Coach? I haven't seen you, since last season, and you've been a very busy guy. So what's been going on?
Same as usual. It's funny. I always tell everybody that winning the state championship is a really cool moment. It's one I recommend to everybody. But it was a moment. It was just a moment, and we've really conducted business the same way we always do. We enjoyed it till January 1st and truly put it behind. The championship rings came in right at graduation, so that was cool for the seniors. But other than that, we don't really talk about that much anymore. This group that we have now is hungry to, create their own legacy and leave their own mark. And, the only thing I keep telling them is just be the best versions of yourself, because people will put a lot of pressure on you, and it's hard to follow up 16-0 state champs.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's impossible because that was the first ever. So even if you replicated that, it's still not the same. And so we're just trying to get them to understand that every day we're just trying to be the best versions of ourselves, and we're going to truly enjoy every checkpoint along the way and make this a fun season for these seniors because they've worked really hard.
Before we dive into this year's team, I think we should recap a little bit about last year's team, Coach, because what you guys did was just nothing short than amazing. 16-0, Division II state champions. Talk about that team overall and just what it meant to you.
Yeah, well, every year we've got groups that work exceptionally hard, and that was always the goal. But we felt like in some of those seasons we could have got it done, and I always tell people you got to be lucky and good. Last year's team was certainly good. We had some big physical guys in the trenches, which is required if you're going to win a Division II state championship. Nolan Good is a once-in-a-lifetime type guy at quarterback. He's at Kent right now. But you could just tell they had a hunger about them and a belief, and that's half the battle is believing you can get it done. And I think early on, there's probably some teams who talked about getting it done, but I don't know if they really in their hearts believed they would get it done. Last year's senior class believed it was possible. And then we were good and we were lucky. We avoided those key injuries that could derail you. A lot of schools go through that. And we had both on our side, lucky and we were good, and we're able to finish it. So it was a lot of fun. Again, it's something that I'll get to enjoy when I retire someday. But I'm so process-oriented that January 1, it was over.
Well, programmatically, and building on that point, I think the way you run your program and in that, guys are getting playing times. Juniors are getting PT. Sophomores are getting some playing time, getting extra practice as that season. I mean, that leads to future success. That leads to future big records and big goals, right?
Yeah, I mean, you think about that. You talk about this year's team, and I say last year has no bearing on this year's team, but you're right, Don. It's 6 extra weeks of practice. That's a month and a half that our kids continued to practice, and we got those reps. And, our coaches don't just try to win in the present season. We're trying to build a program that can sustain itself, and if you're doing that, JV football has to be important. And we ran inter-squad scrimmages week 1, 2, and 3 of the playoffs to give those kids something to look forward to, a purple-white scrimmage where the coaches officiated it. It was a lot of fun. And we made sure that every chance we got with those young guys, and we invited the freshmen up to be with us too, that we were practicing and developing our players. So there was a lot of skills that could be taught during that time. But the key is really in Avon, it's the weight room and the off-season lifting, because this year's team is basically last year's JV team in a lot of ways. We've got some players back, don't get me wrong, and some really talented guys. But we're going to have to fill in the gaps with these exiting seniors who just won a state championship with guys who played JV football a year ago. And that's the way it is every year in Avon. We don't go out and recruit people. We don't get move-ins who can help us like other places. Our JV guys have to put on 20, 30 pounds, and they have to be determined to be physical enough to play on a Friday night. And thankfully, we've got guys who have done that again.
So, let's talk about some of those guys, and we'll start on the offensive side of things. You do have some quality players coming back on the offense, along the offensive line. Hawk, Englehart, Dawson, they're all back.
Yeah.
It's a good start.
Yeah, that's definitely a good start. I think that Max Houck is definitely a Division I player. He's got a Kent offer, and he's a little vertically challenged in Division I terms. but he started 16 games for us a year ago. He's a captain of our team. He's a leader. Ian Englehart's put on, another 25, 30 pounds from last year, and he's a heavyweight wrestler who understands leverage. He's a tough kid. So that's a great play to start. And then Lance Dawson's new to football. He didn't come out for football till his sophomore year. So that was a really big learning experience for him. And then last year, you just saw him take off as the year went on and become better and better. And this year, I'm telling you, this kid is the real deal. Like, he's committed to Cincinnati, and it's going to be a great fit for him. But he's an elite player, and so he's starting to understand the game more, and I'm excited for what he can do on both sides.
So is that all based off athletic ability, Division I, and he just played football for 2 years?
Yeah, he identified as a basketball player.
Wow.
And, he does play basketball for us, but, he's 6'5", he's 260 pounds, and his vertical, I don't want to quote it, but it was pretty impressive. And so all you needed to do is when college coaches walk through our door, he passes the look test, you show them the film he had last year, and the minute they knew that he was only playing football for 2 years and he was raw, they saw a lot of upside and a lot of ceiling to him. And so he's been offered by every MAC school here, around, and Virginia came in late and offered him, and he took an official visit there in Cincinnati, but he felt most comfortable at Cincinnati.
That's an interesting point, actually. Does now with winning the state championship, I mean, you've always had kids that get recruited and at high levels. Has it increased any with the championship ring on everybody's finger?
I don't think so. I think it's been the same.
Okay.
I really do. I just had a coach reach out to me in Michigan State the other day and asked me who number 88 was, and it was Sam Toniolo from last year, who's at Toledo. He got a Division I scholarship, so he's got good eyes. It was a Division I player. But he saw the number because we switched numbers. We moved him to tight end from tackle, and it was a sophomore or a junior, I think, in our program. So he saw this kid and was looking at our tape and was like, "Hey, who's this kid? We're interested in recruiting him." And I said, "Well, he's already at the University of Toledo, so maybe in the transfer portal someday, but
right.
Not right now." But I think sometimes people will maybe look at your film a little bit more. But for the most part, we've been lucky. I think when schools show up in our area and they come around and they head out to Eds and Ignatius, and they're going to swing by Avon High School as well, because we've historically had 2 or 3 D1 kids every year, and we've been blessed to have those type of kids.
Staying in the offense a little bit, Keontae Smith, I thought he came watching him from week 1 through week 16. Boy, what a change and what a development in just a season.
Yeah, well, these are the cool stories, right? Keontae Smith started the year as a JV player.
Yeah.
So, my son Blake was the quarterback, and so I'd go to those games. He went 10-0 as a JV quarterback. We played last year 18 JV games, so we were 15-3. So we try to play 2 every week. And Keontae, for the first 4 weeks, played JV football.
That's amazing.
And every time he played JV football, he did what you expected. He dominated, and why is this kid playing JV? And eventually we got him on the field, and he took, by the end of the year, he was as good as a back in the area. And this year he looks really, really good. So we're lucky. We've got him. We've got Cam Wendell. And we got Mikey Colburn as well. These 3 guys, I think, can all carry the ball at a high level on a Friday night. So, we're going to try to keep these guys fresh by dividing the load. But Keontae Smith is certainly a special kid.
You mentioned Blake. He's going to be the guy, right?
Yeah.
How's that feel?
Yeah, well, probably feels good for him in some ways, and maybe others not. Who knows? I mean, his dad's the head coach, and we're following up a 16-0 state championship with
zero pressure.
Hey, Mike, do you talk football at home? Because you hear a lot of dads who coach their kids, and they say, I try to keep it separate, so I don't talk football at home. Yeah. How is the Elder House?
Yeah, no, we talk a little bit about football, but usually it's the Steelers or, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I try to let Lee Powell, our quarterback's coach him.
Okay.
And, certainly I talk to him about football, but not like you would think.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I just feel like he needs that divide. And there's got to be the coaching hat and the dad hat. And, for me, I just want him to go out and have a lot of fun with his friends, because he's been playing football with this group of guys since he's been in 3rd grade. And what a special thing for me as a coach, too, because I coach like in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Actually, I stopped in 7th and watched them. But these same group of guys, I've coached all of them since they've been in 3rd grade. And so it's a lot of fun now to watch them as seniors.
It's coming full circle, right?
It really is. It really is. But he's doing a great job. He's got a great skill set, things that he does well. and just getting him to understand who he is and being the best version of himself and not trying to be someone you're not, because who he is good enough. And then we have Trevor Maley, another quarterback who's a senior, who started for us at safety or played a lot of safety a year ago. And Trevor's a dynamic quarterback himself. So you'll see Trevor on the field as well at quarterback here and there, because he brings some different elements to the game. So, we're excited about it, and I think that, Blake's our starting quarterback without question, but Trevor Maley's dynamic enough that we're going to want him to get some touches and do some creative things with him.
And then when you got to put the ball up in the air, he's got, just a plethora of receivers. Bars back. You got Weatherspoon, who just signed, right? And Clapham. I mean, good gosh.
Yeah, I'd say the strength of our team with depth and players is definitely wide receiver. Grant Barr, I feel like I say this every year because I've been lucky. You don't win as many games as we do without great players, right?
Yeah.
But Matt Maxey, I couldn't give him enough praise last year. But Grant Barr, ran track. He was a baseball player. He ran track to verify his time so that colleges knew how fast he was. And the kid can flat out run. And then we start talking about his catch radius. And if you throw it in the garage, he's going to catch it. Like, I'm telling you, if it's close to him, he's going to catch it. I've never seen a receiver quite like him with his catch radius. It's incredible. And he tracks a ball, and he can adjust his ball into balls, and is just crazy. So all you have to do if you're Blake is get it close to him, and he's probably going to make the catch, and so that's a nice luxury to have. But it's not just him. We have other great receivers too. Jacob, you mentioned, Sammy Allery, who's a captain of our team, and his dad's been coaching third grade with me since then. Jackson Palmer, Caden Bennett. You mentioned Caden Clapham. Finn Jordanik's a slot receiver. So we feel like we have legitimately eight, great high school football receivers on this team. So there's a lot of depth there.
Wow, that's impressive. Defensively, if we start looking at the other side of the ball, some of those guys we mentioned, the big guys, but you got Stolarski and DeTilio. Oh my goodness, it's just like the more things change, the more they stay the same. Those are some big names for you guys.
Yeah, Ryan Stolarski's committed to Miami of Ohio, and he's 6'2", 235-pound, inside linebacker he can run, and he's explosive. He's twitchy. He changes directions well, which is big. And so we expect him to be the foundation at defense. And Lance Dawson is obviously back as a defensive end. And then in the back end, that we feel really good about safety. Jacob Witherspoon is our field safety. Jerry Clements is back as our boundary safety, who comes down more in the box. We got Trevor Maley, who I mentioned, who also gets some reps at quarterback, and he's going to play safety. But we feel like there's 4 or 5 guys who can play safety, which allows us to use Jacob a little bit more on offense as well. So it's what's really fun is to watch the guys that, like, a year ago they weren't quite there. Like Alec Rivera started every game at corner. Caden Clapham, you mentioned, by the end of the year was starting at corner. So technically we have about 4 starters back on defense, but another 4 kids who played a significant amount of time last year.
Are you comfortable? That's a loaded question. It's a dangerous question. Are you comfortable going into week 1, confident that you can meet those immediate goals?
You know what? I always tell our team, and this is the truth every year, we're not going to be very good week 1. We're just not. Not by our standard, we're not. We're going to get better every single week. So what we have to do is be better than St. Ignatius week 1. We just got to be 1 touchdown better than them. And then week 2, we'll get on a plane and we'll fly to Florida and we'll play Spruce Creek, which is in Port Orange, Florida. It's we're playing at their stadium. It's a suburb of where the heck is it? It's slipping me right now, but they've got great players and great people, in that program. Their coach has been there a while and established them. And then we come back and play Glenville. So it could be bad. We could go 0-3 to start out. I don't know, but I can tell you this: by the time the season ends, with this talented group we have, no one wants to play us in the playoffs. I'll promise you that. We'll be good. By the end of the year, we'll be good. But we hope that we can win those first 3 and then get into our league, but who knows?
You and I have talked about this, and I've always maintained, and I think you agree with this, not sometimes, always, a team needs to get punched in the nose at least a couple times on their way to that playoff point. You've set up that front end of the schedule to do exactly that. Ignore the fact that you've got this grind of the SWC.
Yeah. Well, and I remind this team that last year I talked about being lucky and good. we beat St. Ignatius at Brown Stadium to kick off the season, 42-21. And then Camp McKinley came to our place, and we won 21-14. And I think Nolan would tell you it's the worst game he played all year long. He threw like 4 interceptions, and we slipped out of there with a win. And there was a fumble that got ruled an incomplete pass that could have went either way that they picked up and scooped and scored. So that game could have went either way. And then Glenville comes in, and we beat them 13-12. So last year we're 16-0 state champs, but we could have been sitting at 1-2 easily. And so what I'm trying to get this team to understand is that, the storm is coming. We want to be the storm, but if the storm hits us and something bad happens, how are we going to respond to that? Because we can't let this quest for perfection and being 16-0 when it doesn't happen, if that's the case, defeat us. And I don't think they will. They're too invested, So if something bad's it goes on, then this team is going to be fine, and they're going to get better, and they're going to line up the next week. And I think by the end of the year, we're going to be a pretty good football team.
Coach, it's great to talk to you and hear the philosophies heading into this year. I'd be remiss, man, if we let you go without talking about, Jeremiah Kelly and Kelly Strong. And I'm glad we got some closure now as to what the reasons were, that he passed away. But just talk about Jeremiah and how much of an impact it's been on last year's team and now I'm sure this year's team.
Yeah, it's his brother Josh is on our team. He's the sophomore this year, and so, it's been rough. Like there's days I wake up and I struggle, with this still. And his mom and I have become close through this whole process, and she's actually coming in this Thursday to talk to our team. And Spectrum News is coming in to do a story on him and his life and legacy, which I think is really awesome that they're going to come back and do that because he just was that special of a kid. But this Thursday, we'll pass out our LLJK stickers, which is Live Like Jeremiah Kelly. Anybody who knows him, it's not made up. Like, I'm telling you, this kid was the real deal. Like, he was as special as they get. And it was almost like he knew he only had 18 years on this earth, and he had left no stone unturned. So, we're gonna get those stickers, and then we're going to talk about the legacy number. We're going to take number 73 instead of retiring it, which some people have suggested. His brother Josh will wear it throughout his career, and then it's going to be a number that we're going to pass on as coaches. We decide, who we're going to give 73, and it's going to be a great honor to that kid.
I like that.
Because they're going to hear about Jeremiah and who he is, and we're going to keep his memory alive and his legacy alive. So that's the plans and what we're going to do. But, man, it's just such a tragic event, and but all you can do is, continue to move forward because that's what Jeremiah would want. I can promise you this. He would want us moving forward, and he'd want us to, pour into others, and that's who he was. He was a servant leader. And so I want all of our players to take qualities of him, and his mom's going to get to tell that story third, and then challenge our kids to be a lot more like him because he was special.
Admire the way you and the team are kind of dealing with that because you could let that kick you in the rear, or you can hold on to it and make it special, and that sounds like the way you guys are handling it, so congratulations on doing that the right way.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you. Got a picture of him, too, going up in our locker room that I just got today. It was matted and framed, and it's awesome stuff. So I promise you, Jeremiah Kelly will be with us every step of the way this year.
Good deal.
And for many years to come, I promise that. He's just too special not to let him be that guy.
Good deal.
Awesome. Coach, thank you so much for giving us some time. Good luck this season, man. We can't wait for you guys to defend your title, and we'll be rooting you on the whole step of the way.
We appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Head coach Mike Elder of the Division II state champion Avon Eagles as they'll be defending their crown on Thursday, August 21st against St. Ignatius, and we'll be there with them. Don't go anywhere. We got one coach left. Chase Ferris is sitting right next to us getting some pizza, and I want some too. Don't go anywhere. Right. We'll be right back here on YouTube, Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back. We are live on YouTube at Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. It's the Lorain County Sports Network, and it's the Coaches Show. Before we get the 2025 high school football season kicked off, we are joined by our final guest of the night, as we are joined by the head coach of the Elyria Catholic Panthers, Chase Ferris, giving us some time as we get ready for this season. Chase, thank you so much for stopping on by, man. How's everything been going in Panther Nation?
Man, everything's been going good.
Yeah?
We just, showing up each and every day, putting our best foot forward, getting the guys to really buy in and into that team atmosphere, that togetherness, and I feel like that's what's going to really carry us into the season.
A big senior class is gone. You got some new guys stepping up. So how are you filling these holes on that Panther lineup?
I mean, we returned – this is my first year returning double-digit starters.
Okay.
Wow.
So for the last 2 years, I've only returned maybe 3 to 5 starters max. So this year I'm returning, I believe, almost 15 starters.
Wow.
So it's a blessing to finally be in position to where it's time to roll. These guys have been playing for the last few years, and they're taking their their bumps and bruises, but now it's their time to go out and deliver.
Who's going to be playing quarterback for you this year?
And so right now we have a battle going.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
We have a battle going right now, and we have multiple guys back there taking reps. Right now, Donnie Shumpert has been back there.
Okay.
But, Robbie DeRay has been in the mix really. Taking the majority of those reps right now. He's a young guy, sophomore coming up. He played JV last year, played one game for us last year, but between him and Donnie, and then you got Ben Essemacher back there. You got Connor Latte taking a couple snaps here and there. So right now it's just about seeing how we mesh, and seeing what offense looks like for each of those guys, because they're all talented in their own way. They all have their ups and their downs, but figuring out how each of them control the offense and what we want that to look like with the game plan.
They're all really athletic, though, aren't they?
Oh,
all those guys you talked about, right?
Yeah.
That's got to be fun watching that happen.
Yeah. Robbie, Donnie, and Ben all play football and basketball.
Yeah.
And Ben runs track too. So, like I said, we got some guys back there.
And competition brings out the best. So it's good that all those guys are competing. Now in the backfield, you guys bring back Zion Castillo, who's going to be helping him carry the workload.
Yep. So you got Zion coming back, but we also have now Mikey Bates. Our starting cornerback last year. Now he's fully healthy and ready to roll. So it's kind of that thunder and lightning combination back there.
Okay.
Yeah, so here's what I remember of Mikey. Mikey on the defensive side laid some licks.
Yeah.
I mean, he would do some popping. Is that what he's bringing to the backfield?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, that's gonna be scary.
Yeah, I said those two back there is like thunder and lightning. So I'm excited to see how it works.
And you, as a former O lineman, you have some experience coming back on the offensive line. Talk about some of the guys in the trenches.
Yes, indeed. We will return 3 starters on the offensive line. We have our left tackle, Amari Lynn. He's coming back. This is his second year starting. He's coming into his own. Really been watching film, getting in there in the weight room, squatting almost 500 pounds.
Wow.
I'm excited about him. We got Kanan Regis on the other side now. He played left guard next to Amari last year, but now he's rolling over into that right tackle spot. He squats over 500. He squat, I think, 525 in the weight room.
Wow.
So those guys, those lower trunks, they're pretty big. I'll tell you that.
Man.
And then inside you have Omari Ortiz. He started a few games as a sophomore even for us. He's very technical, very aggressive. One of those just nasty guys inside that you really need. So we have those 3 coming back to really anchor that line.
As a former O lineman, Coach, do you have someone else that coaches them, or is it you, or is that your position?
No, Greg Smith does a great job with those guys.
How hard is that for you to stay out of his mix, though?
Listen, so we had our coaches meeting.
Well, here's the story. This is gonna be good.
I'm gonna tell you. So back in January, we had our coaches meeting when we're starting to talk about what we want to look like this year. Offense, defense, who's coaching what position. Because we're a smaller school, not as many players, but at the same time, we're a smaller staff as well.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, and they're like, look, Coach, we love you. And I'm like, look, I appreciate you guys. I don't want you guys to think I don't trust you. I'm just used to being hands-on with everything.
Yeah.
So as we went through our meeting, we kind of split up the positions, and they were like, hey, I'll do this one, this one, this one. And they're like, Coach, you just need to be able to roam around. And I'm like, I get it, I understand.
Yeah.
So, I'm hands off. I mean, if something happens, something comes up, and they need me to step in, I'm more than willing to do that, and they know it in any position at this point. I feel like I can go anywhere from quarterback to receiver, DB to wide. You know what I mean? Like, it really doesn't matter at this point now.
It would be tough for me playing for you, especially as a lineman, to not come up and pick your brain.
Yeah.
Even after practice. Hey, coach, what do you think? I mean, is there a technique? I mean, is that happening?
Our kids doing that?
Man, that's the tough part. Like, it's like, I think sometimes, like, kids kind of go numb to, you know what I mean, the talent that the coach that they have. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'll get kids, like, they'll reach out because I do, like, personal O-line training, you know what I mean, as well. So, like, a lot of the guys that I train are from, like, the Cleveland area. You know what I mean? They'll call me like, hey, coach, can I get a session? This, that, and the third. And then my guys will be like, oh, we already did
that. I don't know how you wouldn't realize that. But again, they know you with the whistle around your neck, not with the pads and the helmet on.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a little bit difference there. We talked a little bit about the offense. Let's take a look at your defense. You've got some pretty good guys returning. We talked about Mikey moving over. Is he playing defense still as well?
Oh, 100%. Mikey, you know, Mikey will be all over the field between corner, safety. You know what I mean? Like he's an athlete. You know what I mean? He's a football player. You know what I mean? Great instincts, great speed. Great ball skills. You know, we saw him, you know, do some crazy things on the interceptions last year. You know, so it's, you know, I mean, he's a special player.
I know Joey Shill's getting a lot of looks on the defensive side of the ball. Can he play tight end? Can he catch?
Yeah, Joey has soft hands for sure. But yeah, he's playing our wide position on offense, and right now he's penciled in at Mike. You know, what I mean, starting. So we have a couple places we have to, you know, what I mean, find guys that are ready to step up, but. On the defensive side, you got guys like Patrick Moore, you know what I mean, who didn't get a chance to play last year, but has gotten super hungry and is just ready to go out there and willing to do whatever. You know what I mean, he's over 90% attendance in the weight room, doesn't miss. You know what I mean, comes in, works hard, always asking coach what can he do to get better. You know, same with guys like Donnie, you know what I mean, Shumpert. Like I said, he's playing on offense in almost every position, but at the same time, on defense, he's still, you know, at that star. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you if you were going to let him go both ways.
Listen, I've learned. You know what I mean? I've learned. I'll say that. You know, my growth as a coach is to realize, you know what I mean, where I am. You know what I mean, what I have, and you know what I mean, in schools at our size, you know what I mean, the best players have to play.
Let's touch on that, Chase, because you know you were a new coach at one time when you didn't have any experience, and now you do have a couple seasons under your belt. Is it getting easier, or is it starting to slow down, as they say, as a player?
Man, it's not even about slowing down. It's really more so opening up. You know what I mean? It's a different view of things.
Yeah.
I mean, when I come in, I came in hot. You know what I mean? Like super like fired up, like, hey, we're gonna do this, and this. And what I learned, you know, from year 1 to year 2 is you can't expect the same thing of your players as you would do. You know what I mean? Because we're in a different time. You know what I mean? The film looks different. I showed them my highlight tape one day, and they're like, "What is this, VHS?"
Right, right. It wasn't even in high def.
I was on Super 8. I just, you know.
So. You know what I mean, from year 1 to year 2 was just like, hey, you know what I mean, you can't expect the same thing of your players that you would do, you know, because everyone doesn't see the game the same. You know what I mean? So now from year 2 to year 3, you know what I mean, my thing is I lead by example. You know what I mean? So starting off in November when we were allowed after that 28-day waiting period, I hit the weight room with the team. You know what I mean? So every day they saw me, I did the same things. Everything I told them to do, I did it. You know what I mean? And from there, I lost like 60 pounds, you know what I mean, and kind of, you know what I mean, it worked out in my favor. I mean, let's be real, it worked out in my favor.
Coach got a little comfortable.
Man, listen, but then going, you know what I mean, to the next phase of things, you know what I mean, having weekly meetings talking about life, you know what I mean, because football, you know what I mean, it's a game of life. You know what I mean, understanding that it's 100% injury rate, like no matter where you play or who you play for, but having these guys know that, look, you know what I mean, when you're not playing football, you're a human being. You know what I mean? You have to be. I tell them 3 things: you want to be on the field, off the field, in the community. You know what I mean? So when you're on the field, hey, you got to be a different person than when you're off the field and in that school. You know, you got to take care, handle your business. And when you're in the community, you represent your family, yourself, in this program. So as we put all those things together, that's when we started having like weekly Monday meetings where I'm talking about different books that I'm reading. I hopped into the David Goggins, you know what I mean, the are you who you say you are, you know what I mean, and all the different sayings that he has in there and really diving into what those things mean. And then I was even reading another book called Grit, I mean, where they say that the number one transferable trait between all successful people is grit. You know what I mean? So I use grit as an acronym, you know what I mean, GRIT, and I tell everybody on my team grit means something different for every person in here. So everybody has to choose your grit. Every day you wake up, you have to choose your grit. What does that mean to you?
Wow.
Do you think in year 3 this is the year that it starts to click and you finally get your stamp on the program and what Chase Ferris wants to do?
Yes. I'll say this. Coming in as late as I did, you know what I mean, I came in March, you know what I mean, March, like I think it was St. Patrick's Day. You know, over at EC, the admissions is done, and so I'm sitting like that year was done. The next year, which was last year, I had 35 freshmen, the biggest freshman class they ever had.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And all those freshmen had to play JV because I didn't have any sophomores.
Yeah.
All the sophomores that I had that were playing varsity, or if not, I only had maybe 8 that weren't. You know what I mean? So now that group of JV guys that are, you know, rising sophomores, they got a little more snap to them now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that process has been expedited, but at the same time, the guys ahead of them, now they're 2-year starters. You know what I mean? They understand what comes with the Friday Night Lights. There's no more, you know what I mean, stopping and staring. It's go do.
Do you feel pressure, Chase, at EC? Because when you were hired, like you mentioned, it was a late hire, but it was a splash, man. I mean, you had Urban Meyer, you know, videos promoting you. I mean, it was just the talk of the town and even in the state, man. How are you feeling now in year 3? Like, you know, are there still a lot of expectations? Because when you took over, man, EC football was at the top.
Yeah, like I said, and from that splash, like I feel like, you know what I mean, we've hurdled a ton of obstacles. You know what I mean? They went from being Division 4 to Division 3 now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The schedule that I'm playing, we're out of that conference. We're, you know what I mean, we're playing, you know what I mean, all private schools in our division, in our region. You know what I mean? So when you look at it, it's like, okay, we're Division 3, Holy Name Division 3. You got Benny Division 3. You got Midview right there. Like there's about 6 teams that we play on our schedule that are all in our same region. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean, things are different now. You know what I mean? It's a different type of football. It's a different atmosphere. But at the same time, I tell my kids every day, pressure can bust pipes, but it can also make diamonds. You know what I mean? So when it comes to pressure, it's not about, is it there? Yes, but how you manage it is the more important part.
So, and I wanted to ask you about the conference specifically, and you kind of you know, referenced it already. Do you like the conference? Do you like where you are and how you line up in it?
For me, I'll play anybody.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I have that attitude, and that's what I try to instill in these players. You know what I mean? No matter what conference we're in, we have to win games. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's, you know what I mean, it's not I wouldn't say it's a hindrance, but I would just say I tell my guys to look at it like this. You know what I mean? We had situations where, you know, we're calling the schedule guys and nobody wants to play us and they have openings.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you know, we sit there and I just take it as a compliment. You know what I mean? It's, you know what I mean? We want to play.
4 of the first 5 games, Chase, on the road. How big of a test does that pose for your team?
I like it. I like it a lot. I love road games. You know, because it's just us.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? When you have a home game, you're comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You come to the school. You know, you leave school, come back, go to chapel. After that, you might go. One kid running here, one kid going there. Someone's at Walgreens, someone's whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Like it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Then somebody's parents popping up here to bring them some special cookies or this. Or, you know what I mean? Like there's so many intangible things on home games because you're just sitting around all day.
Yeah.
At an away game, you show up, you get from school, literally finish school, hop to chapel, over at the football stadium. We're gone by 3:30, 4 o'clock. And from that moment, you're with me. We're all together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there is no outside sources. When we get to the spot, we're going right to the locker room. We're going to sit. We're going to talk game plan. We're going to turn the music up. We can get pumped up, and we hitting the football field. There's no more. You know what I mean? We control everything on away games.
I like that. I like that.
So taking a look at your schedule, Chase, in the new conference, just tell us about how you feel. You know, NDCL had you know, in your conference. CVCA had a great season last year. I mean, talk about St. Vincent, St. Mary's you're going to be taking on. You got a tough schedule this year.
Yeah, 100%. You know, but Like I said, we're ready. You know, I feel like this group of guys, I mean, they're starting to really realize it. I tell them every day, man, the only way is forward. We can't continue to look back. Yeah, we will review what we have going on, but at the same time, after we review, we got to move forward. And after the only way forward, the only way we can do that is to be together. I mean, so this schedule, I mean, it's just a schedule. I mean, this is who decided to play us. I mean, besides the conference game.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, like I said, I tell them every day we got to win humbly and lose gracefully. I mean, so if we can do that, you know what I mean, manage our emotions and control what we can control, we'll be fine.
A little more humble this year, huh?
Yeah.
Win humbly.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
Win humbly. Yeah. A lot more humble and a lot less grace.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, want to thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it. Looking forward to good things from you and the Panthers.
Oh, 100%, man. Like I said, we got a lot of guys out there that, like I was at practice today, that's why I said I got caught up. But, you know what I mean, just watching those guys fly around, I'm excited.
Excellent.
Head coach Chase Ferris of the Elyria Catholic Panthers giving us some time. Coach, thank you so much. Good luck this season. We'll see you soon.
I appreciate you.
Thanks,
Absolutely. Head coach of the Elyria Catholic Panthers, Chase Ferris, giving us some time as we are wrapping things up here on our coaches show live from Spitzer Chevy in Amherst. The guys are eager to get out of here.
Yes, they are. We're running
so we
along.
don't want to take any more breaks and postpone this any longer than we have to. We want to thank Spitzer Chevy and Amherst and everybody at the Spitzer Auto World for letting us use this beautiful showroom. Make sure you stop on out 200 North Levitt Road in Amherst. Get you a brand new car or a certified pre-owned one. They have whatever you want, Chevy, Volkswagen, and everything in between. I want to say thank you to Ben Parsons running the camera here today. Also, Edwin Vereen, our super producer, on the board. All of our sports crew is in the back enjoying some pizza, as Don and I are going to be doing here as well.
Chase is going to grab a couple slices as well.
Don, thanks so much, man, for joining me here tonight. And Gary Tollett, Brian DeVito will have more coverage on Thursday as they'll have the LC8 along with Vermillion joining them here right again at 5 o'clock from Spitzer Chevy and Amherst. So for everybody watching on YouTube, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. It's completely free. It's the Lorain County Sports Network, your home for high school football.